So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Prodigy Naruto graduates early. Part 2. If you guys enjoy this, what if? And you want to see part 3. Comment down below. And let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content. And leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also share this video with your friends. And check out the description. And check out my playlist. So let's start the video. Training Ground 3. Kurenai is waiting for Naruto and is going through some stretches. She is thinking about what she wants to learn or asking Naruto to teach her. Her reserves are not that large, but she knows that knowing at least some ninjutsu is needed to be a good shinobi. Naruto arrives at the sight of a stretching Kurenai in front of him. It wasn't the worst sight he's been graced with. Hello. Kurenai jumped up with a blush. She was bending over when he arrived. How embarrassing. Hello. What did you bring? Kurenai wanted to change the subject as fast as possible and was excited about learning some higher level Genjutsu. Naruto smiled. I have the demonic illusion. Hell viewing technique. It is a C-rank jutsu, but I think it will be perfect for us to start. And for you I brought a piece of chakra paper. Kurenai was about to burst with excitement, then she frowned. That jutsu sounds good, but chakra paper is expensive. You didn't have to buy it for me. Oh, don't worry about it, I bought a pack of them for myself and my team. It was a pack of 10. So don't worry, I have plenty. Handing Kurenai the chakra paper and telling her how to use it. Kurenai may not want to be an ninjutsu specialist, but is curious about what her affinity would be. After channeling chakra into the paper it burst into flames, a fire affinity. Naruto was both surprised and unsurprised. Well, fire, that is the most common element for where we live, so it's not that big of a surprise, but I was expecting lightning, since your chakra control is so good. But I can help you with fire, no problem. Kurenai smiles and takes the scroll from Naruto's hand and starts to go over it. Naruto read it from over her shoulder and asked questions. When it came time to practice, Kurenai tried to put Naruto under it, only for it to fail. This is harder than I thought, maybe I'm not putting enough chakra into the technique. She wondered to herself. Naruto is reading the scroll again and is trying to figure out how to get them to activate. The user was supposed to have their chakra invade the user's mind to have them hallucinate. It took a good amount of chakra and very good control. Demonic illusions were made by the Kurama clan, who were a clan of Genjutsu specialist ones that were said to rival or even surpass the Uchiha. Kurenai, I don't think you are using enough chakra, try again slowly. Naruto sat down with his eyes closed waiting for Kurenai to test the jutsu on him. He didn't like being the test subject, but it is a necessary evil. After a few minutes he looks around, he hears a roar, and a giant fox is destroying the village. He starts to see the village being set on fire. It felt real. Around him are his friends with their throats slit and he starts to get scared. Shaking his head and flaring his chakra he broke the jutsu. That was, well. You got it. Good job. Kurenai rubs the back of her head, sorry, but at least I got it down now. Are you okay? Naruto rubs his forehead where a little sweat is, yeah, I'm fine, that was something though. Kurenai is about to respond when they hear an eagle circling above them. After a shinobi is promoted to Chunin they are filled in on a bunch of new protocols and rules. All are required to go on border patrol at least once every other month, all must be available for missions around the clock by messenger bird. There were more protocols, but those were the most important. Naruto lifted his arm so the eagle could land and he took out a scroll from the eagle's leg. Chunin Naruto Uzumaki. You are being requested for a border patrol mission in sections 45 to 55. Report to the mission assignment desk in 30 minutes. Mission assignment department. Naruto sighs, sorry Kurenai, I have to go on border patrol, I should be back in a week's time. Kurenai frowns but nods. Missions were missions. Okay, find me when you get back so we can train some more. Said Kurenai. 5 days later. Naruto's apartment. Naruto officially hates border patrol. He is essentially walking around a section of the Fire Country's border, checking papers and making sure no missing nin or bandits were anywhere. In 5 days his team found nothing, it was really boring. Naruto arrived home and took a shower before passing out on his bed. His comfortable sweet bed. The smell in his apartment woke him up. Naruto frowns, who is cooking in his apartment? Walking into the living room he is greeted by the sight of his sensei the Toad Sage, eating his food. That he only made for himself. Sensei, if you're going to come in and cook, at least make some for me too. Naruto whined, it smelled really good. Jiraiya laughed, hell no. I wanted some food this morning and made it for myself, you can do it yourself like a big boy. Naruto made some toast and got some milk before sitting in front of his sensei, so what brings you Jiraiya sensei? Jiraiya's face got serious. We will have a meeting with the old man in a few minutes. I wanted to come and get you. So finish eating and get dressed. Hokage's office. Naruto and Jiraiya arrive in the Hokage's office. There is an Anbu there with his arms crossed. He has a turtle mask and a tanto over his shoulder. The Hokage greets them with a nod. Now that everyone is here we can get started. Naruto brought to our attention the possible security risk that is Kabuto Yakushi, this Anbu named Turtle, was the agent assigned to tail him. However, Kabuto noticed the tail immediately. The third pause to let that sink in, noticing an Anbu tailing you was extremely difficult, but to notice immediately that person is deadly. But that being said, one of my best Anbu codenamed Tiger marked him and is tracking him as we speak. After Kabuto noticed the tail he left the village knowing that his cover was blown. Said the Hokage. Naruto frowned, he was right about Kabuto, this was huge, finding a mole in the village is a big deal. What do you want me to do, Hokage-sama? In a situation like this, Naruto would show the appropriate respect. The Hokage closed his eyes with a nodding gesture to Jiraiya. Well kid, sensei, and I think we know who Kabuto is working for and I was going to bring you on the mission. I am going to be meeting up with Tiger and continue following him till we get to wherever it is he is going. Naruto gave a firm nod, of course I want to go. But who do you think Kabuto is working for? Jiraiya and the Hokage had stone faces. Orochimaru, he was a former Sannin and my teammate. As well as this village's most notorious criminal. That was frightening. Naruto had no delusions about what would happen should Snake Sannin show up to fight him. You can drop whatever you're thinking, if we run into the snake I will handle him. You will fight Kabuto or any other accomplices should it come to that. Jiraiya's face is firm, leaving no room for discussion, not that Naruto had anything to say to that. You two will be leaving tomorrow to meet up with Agent Tiger and continue the tailing of the traitor Kabuto Yakushi. The Hokage commanded in his Kami no Shinobi voice. Turtle left without a word, Naruto is dismissed and is told to meet Jiraiya at the main gate tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Training Ground 7. Nika and Toshiro are engaged in a Genjutsu match. Toshiro's only change since being promoted is that over his normal clothes is now a flak jacket. After yielding to Toshiro, Mika took out a canteen and got some water. Man, Toshiro-kun, you have gotten way better than me, I'm falling behind. The month of one-on-one training with sensei has really helped me, now that he is helping all of us again you will catch back up. Have you seen Naruto? Asked Toshiro. Mika has a grin at the question. No I haven't, but Kurenai has. She told me that she and Naruto were training together and he got called away on a border patrol mission. Naruto should be back today or last night. Said Mika. Toshiro nodded and got a thoughtful look. He and Kurenai were really friendly during that dinner at the barbecue restaurant the other day, huh? Commented Toshiro. Mika nodded with a grin. Yeah they were, Kurenai wanted to meet him since I told her that he wanted to learn Genjutsu. But I think that she likes him anyway, how's being a Chunin now Toshiro-kun? Toshiro sighed, rubbing the back of his head. Not too bad, lots of stuff they tell you about protocols and whatnot. But I like to have access to higher level techniques. But I have been meaning to ask you something. He kinda trailed off towards the end. Mika looked at him confused, what is it? Feigning a determined look on his face, only for his word to come out lamely how? How would you like to get some dinner sometime with me? Toshiro asked, he is trying to be confident, but he couldn't keep the nervous look off his face. Mika is shocked, you want to go on a date? Seeing him nod her face brightens up. Sure. Toshiro let out a breath that was nerve-wracking. Naruto ran into the training ground. Hey. Guess what I just found out? Both of them were startled by Naruto's sudden appearance. What is it about Naruto? Asked Mika. Remember what I told you about Kabuto? Seeing them both nod he continued. Turns out that when we had an Anbu tail him, he noticed it and fled the village. We have someone following him right now. Me and sensei are going to meet up with the Anbu and see where he is going tomorrow. Naruto has an excited look, it's the first mission he would be going on with Jiraiya. Kakashi, whether he has been there the whole time or just showed up, started talking. Good luck Naruto and be careful, Hokage-sama told me about the mission. Don't lose focus and listen to Jiraiya-sama. Naruto nodded and said goodbye. He needed to get some training in. Training Ground 49. Naruto has all but put his name on this training ground. It is a decent-sized field with a river flowing through it. Naruto has 25 clones working since he left his apartment this morning. Each of them are doing elemental training and chakra control. Naruto himself started going through his physical exercises. Naruto went through all of his exercises. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups and laps. Naruto is looking into a seal that would raise his resistance, making his muscles become denser, increasing his speed and strength drastically. Jiraiya told him that his father went through the same regiment with resistant seals until he was 16 and peaked at level 10. His father is incredibly fast, even before he used the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Naruto wants to be that fast, after all you couldn't be hit if you were faster than your opponent. Naruto went through some of his jutsu trying to get a better handle on them. Dispelling all his clones and going through signs he did the earth release. Swamp of the underworld. The resulting swamp was almost as large as the training ground, it is much thicker than the one he used during the exams. It was one of Jiraiya's favorite jutsu since it required a low number of seals and could immobilize anything if the user was good enough. Naruto spent hours going through all of his jutsu, then brought out 50 clones. He could hold this many for about 3 hours. Naruto's apartment. Naruto felt that even though it was only one day of training, he got even better control over his jutsu. He hoped it was enough for his mission tomorrow. After eating some food he passes out. Ano Kuni. Underground base. Orochimaru is one of the most powerful shinobi in the world at the moment. Any cage would be wary of facing him one-on-one. He is a master of ninjutsu, genjutsu, and kenjutsu. He wielded the grass-cutting sword, kusanagi. It is said to be able to cut through anything, and Orochimaru hasn't found anything to disprove this rumor yet. Orochimaru loved to manipulate his followers. To do it was amusing to him, like watching insects trying to please their god. He is upset that Kabuto, his most trusted follower and right-hand man, was discovered in Konoha. It was very annoying, especially now that he's got the Kazekage to agree to help with the invasion during the next Konoha Chunin exams. The random and irrelevant ninja under him bowed. Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto-sama sent word that he would be arriving here in 3 days' time. Orochimaru nodded and waved his hand. After Kabuto arrives they will have to start planning their movements more carefully, no doubt Jiraiya is still tracking him and he couldn't stay in one place for too long, lest he wants to be discovered. Jiraiya is one of the few people Orochimaru believed would be a troublesome opponent, up there with Tsunade and his sensei. No matter what he thought, Orochimaru knew that in his prime he could never beat his sensei, but now he is an old man and Orochimaru is researching a way to give himself an advantage for when he goes to kill the old monkey. He is in the process of switching bodies, he is in his first different body, currently a ninja from Kumo. He is looking for another so he could get in a stronger vessel for when he invades Konoha. He has a lot of preparation to do. Konoha. Main gate. Naruto is waiting at the main gate for his sensei, he looks over and is surprised to see Kurenai walking up to him. "Do you have another mission, Naruto?" she asked. Naruto immediately felt bad, he forgot to see if she wanted to train again after his mission. "Yes, sorry, I have a mission with Jiraiya-sensei, he should be here any minute," said Naruto. Speaking of the devil, Jiraiya walks up to them with a frown and a book in his hand. "Well, we knew this was coming, but take a look at this." Jiraiya handed Naruto a book and Kurenai looked at it. Naruto Uzumaki. Age. 10 to 11. Gender. Male. Origin. Konohagakure. Clan. Uzumaki. Affiliated with Konohagakure no Seido. Rank. B. Physical description. 4'10", has bright blue eyes, golden blonde hair. Also has 6 whisker-like scars with 3 on each cheek. Elements. Seen using jutsu ranging over each element. Special note. Naruto Uzumaki is the only known Uzumaki and son of the 4th Hokage aka the Yellow Flash of the Leaf. Bounty. Dead or alive 5 million out of Kumagakure no Seido, 5 million out of Iwagakure no Seido. Naruto knew that he would be wanted, but that bounty was quite high. He will be missing an hunter ninja after him now. B rank, and with that high of a bounty, Naruto, that is quite the reputation you have. Be careful, when you come back I want to continue our training. Kurenai said, she has a cute serious look on her face. Naruto nodded with a salute. "Yes ma'am. See you when I get back." Kurenai smiled and walked off. After she walks off he looks over to a giggling Jiraiya, who is furiously writing in his notebook, "Yes, this is good stuff, you should have given your girlfriend a kiss goodbye kid." Giggled out Jiraiya. Naruto has a scarlet blush on his face, "She is not my girlfriend. We are friends and I like training with her since she is better than me in Genjutsu." Jiraiya nodded, "That's how it always starts," thought Jiraiya, thinking of his other student and Iridied Firecracker. "Let's go. We have a snake to catch." Chapter 9. Battle in the base. Kabuto was angry with himself for underestimating the Uzumaki. It was reflex to avoid being detected and unfortunately, Naruto caught him. Now he is running to one of the many hidden bases his master has made. When he noticed the Anbu tailing him he knew that it was time for him to get out of the village. He is glad that the old Hokage didn't send a tail after him when he left. Maybe he left the village so quickly that they didn't have time. Regardless, Kabuto knew he got lucky that it didn't turn out worse. Kabuto is headed to Ta no Kuni, or the soon-to-be Odo no Kuni, when Orochimaru-sama deals with the daimyo. Kabuto is actually happy to be out of that stupid village. Now, he can do things way more interesting than the occasional C-rank mission with his stupid teammates. Kabuto is happy he killed those two, they were really annoying. Northern High no Kuni. Naruto and Jiraiya are running through trees. Naruto is getting nervous about the chance of running into the snake Sanin. "Jiraiya-sensei, what are we going to do when we catch up to Tiger?" We are going to continue to track Kabuto and hope he leads us to Orochimaru. When we get to where Kabuto is going, I will show you a jutsu to help you get into the base." Jiraiya knew that the kid was nervous, but honestly he should be. After running for hours they settled down for the night. "Naruto should catch up to Tiger tomorrow, he's been hanging back so we can catch up. When we infiltrate the base I want you to keep your head Naruto, no matter what you see." Jiraiya's voice was serious and face was like a stone. He knew personally what kind of things they could find. Naruto gulps, "I will, is Tiger going to be helping us when catch up or is he going to leave after we catch up?" "Yes, now get some sleep." Order of Ta no Kuni. Anbu Captain Tiger is a village secret for the most part. Only his fellow Anbu and the Hokage know who is and what he can do, but for the most part the village doesn't know about him. During his early childhood, which he doesn't remember, he was abducted by Orochimaru and injected with the DNA of the first Hokage. Now he can utilize the wood-release Kekkei Genkai. Not to the extent of the first Hokage, but he can use it quite well. With his Kekkei Genkai, Tiger is an expert tracker. He could leave seeds that his target would step on and follow them till his target finds them and removes them, which is very difficult. Currently Tiger is tracking Kabuto Yakushi, a traitor of Konoha and suspected ally of Orochimaru. From Tiger's observation, Kabuto is arrogant. After discovering his first tale he left and thought nobody would follow him. Which told Tiger they are going somewhere important. Tiger is keeping back from Kabuto so Jiraiya-sama and his apprentice could catch up and the three of them could infiltrate the place Kabuto is going. 4 hours later. Jiraiya and Naruto are running on treetops trying to find Tiger. After a few minutes Jiraiya stops on a branch, then an Anbu with a tiger mask appears in front of them. "Hello Jiraiya-sama, Naruto Uzumaki." Kabuto is up ahead moving to the north. Jiraiya nodded and looked over to Naruto. Tiger led the way. Tiger nodded and ran ahead to the direction Kabuto was in. With Kabuto. Kabuto is looking for the right tree. Every base has a sealing mechanism that will trigger a secret entrance. It's been a long time since Kabuto has been to this particular base. Finally finding it he channels chakra into the seal and the ground a few yards away starts part and shows a staircase. Tiger, who is watching, nods to himself. "Good thing Jiraiya-sama is here, otherwise I would be out of luck. I have mediocre skills in Fuinjutsu and wouldn't be able to change that seal." Jiraiya is watching Naruto go through seals again for Jiraiya's very own jutsu that he created, Transparency Jutsu. It's a C-rank supplement that allows the user to become invisible. Or to spy on naked girls, it depends on the situation. Tiger came back making Jiraiya and Naruto look over at him. "Jiraiya-sama, Kabuto entered a hidden base that requires specific chakra channeled into a seal to access," said Tiger. Jiraiya nods to himself, it's definitely Orochimaru. He needs to be careful at how he approaches this, he doesn't know what he will find inside. "Naruto, when we are inside leaves Orochimaru to me and Kabuto to Tiger here. I don't know how strong he is, but I will assume that he is Jonin level, something that is beyond you at the moment," said Jiraiya. Naruto nodded and continued to try to get the jutsu down. After trying a few more times he got it down enough that Jiraiya was satisfied. They all left to head to the entrance of the base. "Okay, I will unlock the seal so we can get in, and when we are inside we will split up. I know that most of Orochimaru's bases look the same on the inside, otherwise it would be annoying to remember each one since he has dozens," explained Jiraiya. Tiger and Naruto nodded. Arriving at the entrance of Orochimaru's base, Naruto and Tiger watch as Jiraiya went through the seal and changed it so they could open it. Naruto is impressed at the ease at which Jiraiya broke and reconstructed the seal to allow them entrance. After the ground opened up and the staircase was shown. "Okay, let's go." Inside the base with Jiraiya. After separating from Naruto and Tiger, Jiraiya crept through the base, looking for the main hall that Orochimaru would most likely be in. Hearing a noise, Jiraiya stops and waits for it to pass. 2 ninjas with a headband that Jiraiya didn't recognize, a sound note, peculiar, but he didn't linger to think on that. Once they walked off towards Naruto's direction he continued moving forward. A few minutes going through the base, Jiraiya realizes that he was right in that all the bases did in fact look the same. It made sense after all, since having 50 bases all being different would be an unnecessary hassle to deal with. Turning left at the next hallway he continued down the hallway coming to a set of big doors he took in a breath, hopefully this is it. Inside the base with Tiger. After separating from Jiraiya and Naruto, Tiger went straight forward and entered the first room he saw. Using his mastery of earth to meld with the wall so that he wouldn't have to open the door and be caught instantly. Feeling the chakra in the room, there are only 5 signatures. Entering the room slowly and taking a look around, he notices that everyone was asleep. Taking out a kunai and going to work. 3 minutes later he left the room to go on to the next one. His mission was to find Kabuto while eliminating every enemy ninja that he finds. Continuing through the base he starts to hear talking, melding into the wall he waits for the person coming to pass. Kabuto-sama, what do you want me to do with the new bodies? A sound ninja asked the silver-haired trader. Put them into storage, I want them ready for when Orochimaru-sama needs them. Now I need to see someone. Kabuto answered before walking to the next room. Tiger waited for Kabuto, and the other ninja walked off before coming out of the wall to follow his primary target. Inside the base with Naruto. Naruto uses his new jutsu and proceeds to infiltrate the base. Naruto is looking for a room. He sees a light down the hallway and crept forward to check it out. He hears voices as he gets closer. We need to finish this before Orochimaru-sama calls for it because he'll kill us if he has to ask. The other person nodded his head. Naruto is creeping into the room when he sees that the two voices are cooks or ninja that are cooking. Getting closer to observe them, Kabuto-sama arrived recently and he is apparently going to see what is wrong with Kimimaro. He's getting sick or something. Naruto's curious at who this Kimimaro is and was about to leave the room when the doors opened. Two more ninja came in carrying a badly beaten person who is still conscious. We need the surgeon to have a few hours with this one, he isn't talking at all, we need an expert at making people scream out their secrets. Then we can send him to the research wing for testing. One of them said. Orochimaru needs intel from every nation to stay up to date on all the people hunting him, so he has every new captive interrogated before experimenting on them. Naruto is disgusted at the brutality of the torture that the person has gone through, the guy is missing fingers and has burned stubs, slashes and holes throughout his body, and burn marks all over. It looks like whoever was doing it more for fun rather than information, seeing that the cuts and burns look like happy faces. Naruto has to calm himself lest he would go in and kill all of them. Deciding that he would need to leave the room or his cover would be blown, he snuck out. Continuing down the hallway he was in previously, he noticed a door that was made of iron. Going up to it he notices that it is cracked open enough to slip through. Inside the base with Jiraiya. Going into the double doors he enters a huge room with a throne in the center. Orochimaru is commanding some ninja who are bowing at his feet. Jiraiya is about to let go of the jutsu, well it seems the Kabuto was careless, Jiraiya. Orochimaru hissed out to a seemingly empty room, but he knew better, he knew when he wasn't alone. Jiraiya blurred into existence in front of the throne, hello Orochimaru, finally I can finish you, leaving you alive all these years has been one of the biggest regrets in my life. Jiraiya's face was stone and he's ready to strike at any moment. Orochimaru nodded his head and stood up from the throne. Well Jiraiya, let's see if you can correct that today, or if I'm going to rid myself of one of my biggest annoyances. Orochimaru says before charging Jiraiya at high Jonin speed to get the fight started. Jiraiya intercepts Orochimaru's kick with one of his own. The two continue a bout of taijutsu that most would describe as on a whole other level, beyond elite Jonin. Jiraiya made the ram sign and covered himself with his hair to block the dozen snakes that came flying at him. He swings his head and shoots out hundreds of razor-sharp hair strands at Orochimaru. After being turned into a pincushion, Orochimaru sheds his skin and comes out looking no worse for wear. While Orochimaru is shedding his skin, Jiraiya charged his chakra in his palm and rotated it to create his student's jutsu. The Rasengan, when Orochimaru was done shedding Jiraiya, charged him at top speed and slammed it into his back, grinding for a second before Orochimaru burst into mud. Orochimaru used that second to bring out the Kusanagi sword and charge Jiraiya, looking to end the fight. Inside the base with Tiger. Tiger is following Kabuto to his room when Kabuto suddenly turns and charges him with a glowing palm. It seems that I did pick up a tail, no matter I'll just deal with you now. Kabuto said while he was striking with his chakra-infused palm with expert accuracy. Tiger is getting nervous. If I don't take him seriously he will kill me with the chakra scalpel, but if I get serious it will attract a lot of attention. I'll stay on the defensive and see if I can lead him somewhere else, where hopefully no one else is at. Kabuto stays on his Anbu opponent and is striking as fast as he can, the most he gets is a redirected strike making him miss. The Anbu shot out with a strong punch, Kabuto let it come before moving barely out of the way and touching Tiger's wrist. Tiger instantly felt like moving his right wrist would be a problem. Luckily he didn't completely sever the tendons in my wrist or else hand signs would be out and I would be dead in the water. Deciding that a tactical retreat is in his best entrance, he came across a metal door, he senses something happening inside, but he also felt Naruto's chakra, so he knew it was okay. Inside the base with Naruto. Moments earlier. Naruto slips through the metal door and looks around the room. He notices that it was quite dark and he hears someone breathing hard, it sounds as if they're doing sit-ups. Kimimaro is trying to get some kind of workout in before Kabuto came and he would be required to stay in bed for a week with no physical activity. He froze for a second when he felt something before continuing his sit-ups. Naruto crept forward to the ninja on the ground doing sit-ups to try and get the drop on him and slit his throat. But before he could do the deed the ninja on the floor charges him with a white sword and swings wildly. Kimimaro may not know exactly where the intruder is, but he knows the general direction and starts attacking at a high speed to catch them off guard. Naruto backsteps, the break in concentration caused the jutsu Naruto was using to drop and for him to become visible. Kimimaro raises an eyebrow at the child intruder before charging to kill. Naruto sees the intent in the ninja's eyes, he gets serious and takes out two kunai to block the sword. Kimimaro engages the kunai-wielding Chunin for a few seconds before managing to get first blood. Naruto is getting nervous, the ninja is very fast and precise with his white sword. Throwing a shuriken before doing three-hand seals, shuriken shadow clone jutsu, his one shuriken turned into hundreds that flew at Kimimaro, none of them did any real damage, they just bounced off his body. Naruto's eyes widened, the shuriken didn't even pierce him, ducking under a swing from his opponent before going for an uppercut to Kimimaro's stomach, only to feel as if he hit metal. He almost gets pierced by several spikes coming from where Kimimaro's ribs should be. That's really weird, what the hell is that technique? It almost looked as if it were bone. After getting a good enough distance, were those your bones? Kimimaro stops and looked at the blonde, that's a good catch for trash, yes, they are indeed my bones, it's the Kekkei Genkai of my clan, the Kagaya clan. It's called the dead bone pulse, I can harden my bones and grow them at will by manipulating my calcium. Kimimaro didn't see the harm and told the blind, he would be dead shortly anyway. Naruto's about to charge forward when a door to his right suddenly bursts open with Tiger and Kabuto following shortly after, both jumping to their respective comrades. Tiger looks at Naruto, Naruto, who is that? How strong is he? Asked Tiger. Naruto, Tiger is over, he is clutching his right wrist and his left hand has some kind of small green glow. Well, he's from the Kagaya clan and uses a Kekkei Genkai that allows him to manipulate his bones as weapons. He's very fast and precise with his bone sword, so be careful, I would say high level, maybe even better. Said Naruto. Tiger nodded, he has heard of but never seen the dead bone pulse Kekkei Genkai. Be careful, Kabuto is solid Jonin level from what I have seen so far. With his speed and chakra scalpel technique, one touch and he can sever an artery or muscle, it's very troublesome. Said Tiger. Naruto nods, it sounded like a handful, looking at his opponents Kabuto is smirking and Kimimaro has a face void of any emotion. Kimimaro-kun, how strong would you say Naruto-kun is? Asked Kabuto. Kimimaro looks at Kabuto with bored eyes. He is trash. Kabuto nodded, it's all he really expected from Kimimaro. Kimimaro, thinking that they have wasted enough time, charges in, his bone sword poised to strike the blood. Naruto sees the strike coming and uses a kunai to parry the blow and try to stab Kimimaro, only for the kunai to fail to get past the skin. Tiger uses the snake seal and beams of wood start to attack Kabuto, momentarily surprised at the seemingly dead Kekkei Genkai being used against him, before moving out of the way only for the wood to correct itself and follow him. Kabuto is busy using all of his agility to avoid the beams of wood trying to bind him. Kimimaro sees the trouble Kabuto is in and disengages from Naruto and charges Tiger. Naruto sees that Kimimaro will strike before Tiger could respond and throws a kunai in between Tiger and Kimimaro. Tiger is busy trying to wrap up Kabuto and finish the fight when he senses something to his right, looking over he sees that he's about to be decapitated. Suddenly the bone sword was blocked by Naruto, who appeared in between Tiger and Kimimaro, he threw a kunai between us and then replaced himself with the kunai to save his partner, ingenious. Kimimaro thought before re-engaging the blind. Kabuto uses the momentary distraction to slip underground to get away from the wood for a few moments. Rising from the earth a few yards from where Tiger is, he charges him with a special curved kunai. Tiger notices that Kabuto is coming and uses three-hand seals, wood release. Great forest jutsu, Tiger's arm became several pointed beams of wood and they shot at Kabuto with impressive speeds. Naruto is having a hard time with Kimimaro, he's covered in cuts and gashes when he hasn't managed to draw a drop of blood yet. Kimimaro raises his fingers and hundreds of little bone projectiles are shot at Naruto, who erected an earth wall to protect himself. Kimimaro jumps over the wall to continue the fight, only for the blind to be gone. Naruto burst out from under the ground with a kunai that was glowing with wind chakra. Kimimaro easily parried the strike to stab Naruto in the gut with his bone sword. A Naruto in front of him popped, signifying that it was a clone before Kimimaro felt himself being stabbed in the back. Naruto had another wind-enhanced kunai stabbed inside of Kimimaro's back with blood leaking out of the wound, showing that he did indeed get through the bone defense. So he has to focus on the point in which he wants to defend, making surprise attacks the only way that I will get a clean hit in. I wish I knew some kind of jutsu that could put his body under pressure, maybe that would get past the defense. Naruto analyzed the wound. Looking over to the fight between Tiger and Kabuto and taking a breath. They have a long way to go. Before the whole place starts to shake wildly. Inside the base with Jiraiya. Earlier. Jiraiya has been dodging and deflecting the damned Kusanagi blade for the past few minutes before going through seals, fire release. Great flame bullet, a giant bullet made of oil-enhanced fire shot at Orochimaru at frightening speeds. Jiraiya tenses as he sees the fire take over Orochimaru, too easy. Sensing danger below, he jumps back in time to dodge the Kusanagi blade that shot up from where he was standing before. Orochimaru rises from the ground with a smirk on his face. "We aren't going to get anywhere like this. Why don't we kick it up a notch?" Right as he finished, his neck elongated and shot at a tremendous speed towards Jiraiya, extending his hair and hardening it to keep him safe from the bite, making Orochimaru smirk. That's what he wanted. Orochimaru made a clone and both went through signs, a high-powered fire and wind combination, making a white-hot firestorm with Jiraiya at the epicenter. Inside the fire, Jiraiya is feeding chakra into his hair technique like there was no tomorrow. When the fire died down and only the smoke remained, Orochimaru waited for it to clear to hopefully see a white stain on the ground. Suddenly from the smoke a white mouth emerged, tricky Jiraiya using the wild lion's mane, right after the jutsu ended. Orochimaru gets busy jumping back while dodging the rapidly approaching streams of hair. Jiraiya is panting, he has to put a lot of chakra into keeping himself safe from the fire jutsu. He is going to have to enter Honored Sage mode if he wants to finish this. Summoning a human-sized toad with 2 katanas on its back, "Gamma, I need you to stall him for a few minutes so I can summon Ma and Pa." The toad nodded and jumped into action. Orochimaru finished cutting the last tentacle of spiky hair when he was forced to block a huge katana pushing him back a few feet from the strike. "Great, it's this one, every time I see him I get a headache." Leaping into action to start to engage and hopefully finish the annoying toad once and for all. Meanwhile, Jiraiya is staying completely still with his hands in a prayer-like sign. Only a bit more now then it is over. Continuing to build chakra only for Gamma to come flying back into his view with Orochimaru hot on his tail, swinging his Kusanagi blade rapidly and angrily. Smirking at the frustration Orochimaru is feeling, Jiraiya concentrates on gathering more chakra, making it a point when this is over to go and finish the training so he can do this faster and easier. Orochimaru would elongate his sword and go for a stab, only to be parried and almost decapitated. He has to give it to the toad. This is the best fight he has had in a while. Managing to get a slice on the toad's leg only to feel a huge burst of chakra coming from his left. Jiraiya is now in Honored Sage mode and the entire room is shaking from the power he is emitting. "What did you bring us here for, Jiraiya boy?" the male toad asks. "I was about to cook dinner. You better have brought us out for something important," yells the female toad. "I apologize, but I want to finish Orochimaru once and for all." Jiraiya's toad-like face is dead, focused on the snake a few yards away from him. "Well, let's get this over with, Pa, I want to be home for dinner," said Ma. Pa toad nodded with a smirk. Jiraiya pushes off from the ground with massive force, crushing the ground he was just standing on. Charging a massive amount of chakra to his right hand before Rasengan appears. When he gets within a yard of Orochimaru, he jumps and pushes his hand towards Orochimaru. "Created by my student and made even better by me." Witness the gallant Rasengan. Jiraiya's Rasengan grows to a massive 12 feet in diameter, then slams it into Orochimaru, shaking the entire base. Inside the base with Tiger and Naruto. Feeling the massive tremor, Tiger and Naruto look at one another before turning back to their opponents. Kimimaro enters his curse seal level 1 before taking out another bone sword. He charges in at a much higher speed. Naruto is shocked that Kimimaro had another level he could go to at will when he has been going his hardest the whole time. Coating 2 kunai with wind chakra before bracing himself for the onslaught. Tiger managed to get a few good cuts into Kabuto with his wood jutsu, only for them to close up seconds later. Kabuto has a vicious smirk on his face. "You didn't think that those wounds would be even remotely an issue for me, did you? I'm the greatest medic around, bar none. I can heal any wound in seconds with no seals, that's greater than even the slug Sannin," Kabuto boasted, pushing up his glasses when the light caught them. Kabuto charges in at a renewed speed, getting into Tiger's guard and tapping his right shoulder, making the arm useless. When he was going to strike his heart, the clone turned into wood and he was pierced several times from the ground by wood. The wood then blinded Kabuto in place, making escape all but impossible. "You talk too much, I made a clone when you were bragging," Tiger stated flatly, enjoying the angered look on Kabuto's face. Tiger looks around to see how Naruto is faring. He isn't too pleased. Naruto is bleeding from many different cuts all over his body and is being pushed around by Kimimaro. After the markings spread over Kimimaro's face, Naruto was outclassed. Naruto didn't even have time to make seals since Kimimaro was on him the whole time. Naruto is cut along the chest and kicked back, landing in rubble. His vision suddenly got blurry. Drip. Feeling hazy, Naruto sits up only to see that he is laying in what appears to be a sewer. Forcing himself up to see where he is, he notices that he is in front of a massive gate with a giant tag in the center, with the kanji for seal written on it. "Interesting, you have come before me sooner than I expected," a very deep voice growled from behind the gate. Naruto starts to get up and tries to move forward as the area behind the gate lights up so he can see what lies behind it. Laying behind the cage is a massive fox with 9 tails swinging behind it like the flames of a fire. The giant fox opens one of its eyes showing a blood-red eye with a slit pupil. "So you must be the 9-tailed fox, huh? Interesting," said Naruto, hiding his apprehension pretty well. Angered at being taken lightly, the fox starts to thrash around and roar, releasing an ungodly amount of kai, bringing Naruto to his knees. "Filthy human, I will teach you respect. Why have you dragged your sorry sack of meat before me?" howled the Kyuubi. Naruto just took a breath before gaining some confidence. "You live here, there's no changing that. This is my body. When someone lives in something that belongs to something else, they have to pay rent. Give me some chakra for rent and I will go," said Naruto. The fox eyes Naruto for a second. "If I give him chakra slowly, I can slowly force the seal to widen to the point that I can break through and be free. Fine. Take my chakra and leave. Don't come before me again." Naruto is forced out of his mind, feeling a strong influx of power that could be sensed for miles. Inside the base with Jiraiya. Feeling the Kyuubi's chakra, Jiraiya fears the worst. Not taking another second before speeding off toward Naruto and Tiger, using his Sage mode to feel their chakra signatures. Unfortunately giving Orochimaru time to get away after shedding another time. Inside the base with Tiger and Naruto. Using Naruto's display as a distraction, Kabuto used Earth Release. Hiding like a mole to escape from the wood tentacles, getting away from the wood user. Tiger is getting nervous. If Naruto lost control, then he would have to try and suppress him, but he wouldn't kid himself into thinking that he could if it got too far. Naruto felt strong, really strong. Looking at Kimimaro, he snarls and charges him with animal-like ferocity. Naruto has a red bubble-like cloak surrounding him, dodging Kimimaro Bone's sword and punching him in the chest with all the strength he could possibly muster. Kimimaro tries to cut the blind in half. He's shocked that the blonde's red chakra gave him such a boost. Getting slammed in the chest by a red-coated fist. His eyes widened at the force behind the punch. Flying back towards the wall before blasting through it. Kimimaro manages to harden his bones to absorb the blow, but the force and the strange red chakra manages to injure him. Usually he would only get a minor scratch and his bone would stop the blow. However, the red chakra is burning his chest and his bones impact his internal organs. Kabuto is frowning as he observes Naruto, who is snarling and looking for him. He needs to get Kimimaro out of there, he is still useful to their plans. Before any of them could do anything, the wall burst apart, revealing Jiraiya, who ran over to Naruto, who was looking at him with wide eyes. "What's going on? Why do you have 2 toads on your shoulders and look like a toad?" Naruto's voice is fluctuating between a deep snarl and his normal voice. Jiraiya looks him over. "Never mind that." Naruto calms down. "You are using its chakra, I need you to calm down." Jiraiya ordered. He is worried. He always planned on training Naruto to use the Kyuubi's chakra, but he is still too young and he wants his body to develop more, as it could be potentially harmful to him. Naruto stands up straighter and takes in a couple breaths, trying to calm down, feeling a lightheadedness before collapsing unconscious. Little Naruto boy still isn't used to the fox's chakra. Fukasaku said, looking the unconscious blonde over. "Poor little tadpole tuckering himself out," said Shima. Jiraiya looks over to his right and eyes Kabuto, who is standing still thinking over his options, before bursting into flames and disappearing with Kimimaro, escaping the area. They ultimately failed the mission. "Tiger, let's go, the kid probably won't be up for a day or two. Thanks for the help, Ma, Pa. I'll be sure to come by again soon." Shima and Fukasaku nodded and wished him goodbye before going back to him. Tiger went to go check the blonde over. He isn't very good at medical ninjutsu, but every captain is required to know at least some basic jutsu. He notices that a lot of his wounds are closed already. Looking up and nodding to Jiraiya, the Toad Sage picks Naruto up before they make their way back to Konoha. 2 days later. Hokage's office. Jiraiya and Naruto are standing in front of the Hokage. Tiger had already written and submitted his report when they got there. Naruto is quiet the whole time, seemingly in thought. "Before Kyuubi gave me some chakra, I was totally outclassed. I need to up my Taijutsu training. Unfortunately, I might need to take into consideration what Jiraiya-sensei told me during the training for the finals." Naruto is brought out of his thoughts when the third looks at him. "What can you tell me about your opponent?" Naruto gets into his serious mode. "He's about 2 or 3 years older than me. He is a member of the Kagaya clan and possesses the Dead Bone Pulse Kekkei Genkai. Also, toward the end of the fight, he had black markings spread across his face and his physical abilities and chakra capacities increased." Naruto finished, looking at the Hokage, who was nodding. He received a similar report from Tiger. "That's consistent with the report Tiger gave me." "Dismiss Naruto," the third said, and Naruto walked out. "Jiraiya, what happened? I thought you would have been able to finish Orochimaru off." The Hokage knew that Jiraiya is the strongest of his students. Hell, he has known for years. I entered Honored Sage mode, and I was going to finish him before I felt Naruto use the Kyuubi's chakra, and I feared the worst. I didn't know what could happen if Naruto used the Kyuubi chakra so young. I was going to wait until he was 13 until I got him to try to use it. So I wanted to make sure he was alright. Explained Jiraiya. Hiruzen nodded, that actually made sense to him. Kushina never used the chakra, nor did Mito to his knowledge. But Naruto's seal is different, he could use the Kyuubi's chakra at will if he wanted to, but the previous containers never did, so they didn't really know what would happen. I see, what do you plan to do now? Asked Hiruzen. Jiraiya thought quietly for a few minutes before nodding, I want to get back out there and track Orochimaru while his trail is still fresh. I want to see some of my contacts, especially about this new group Crow is in. Said Jiraiya. The Hokage's face became stone at the mention of Crow, before nodding. He knew about this group that his undercover agent joined and Jiraiya is tracking. Any group with that many S-rank shinobi in it could potentially do anything. Keep in contact with Jiraiya. Ordered by Hiruzen, the sage nodded before jumping out of the window. Naruto's apartment. The first thing Naruto did after reporting to the Hokage was go home and get some sleep in his bed, he had a lot to think about. Flashback during the month of training before finals. Naruto is training with Jiraiya with his staff before Jiraiya signals him to stop. Kid, you're good with the staff. But I don't think it fits your body style, you have a body that is suited for speed and accuracy, same as your father. He was quite strong, but he stuck to his special kunai and taijutsu. Jiraiya said, like that someone was using his sensei's style of fighting, but Naruto is kidding himself if he thought that his body type fit the style. Naruto frowns, he thought the same thing for the first few weeks I know, but I really like using Jiji's style. He likes sharing that with one of the very few precious people he has. Jiraiya didn't say anything, he just let it go. Either the kid would manage somehow, even though he doubted it. Or Naruto would realize that he should change it up to something that fits his body type. Jiraiya isn't surprised that Naruto was using a weapon that didn't fit him. Minato used a Kusurigama for the first month as a genin, he was good with it, but after a disaster of a mission, he stopped using it and exchanged it for just Taijutsu and eventually his special kunai. He knows that Naruto will find his weapon. Then flashback. Naruto woke from his almost 13-hour nap. It is 10 o'clock in the morning and time for him to get some training in. Jiraiya sensei told him that the staff isn't the weapon for him, he's thought about that since his sensei told him. During the exam, he got by with the staff until Demitsuchi broke it, he wasn't going to fool himself into thinking that he would have come out better from his fight with Kimimaro if he had his staff. He needs to get some opinions from Kakashi sensei. Going through his normal morning routines and having breakfast before he left to find his sensei. Dango shop. Kurenai, Mika and Toshiro are eating some dango, Mika and Kurenai just got back from a mission, and Toshiro was about to leave for one in a few hours. When do you think Naruto will be back? It's only been a few days, but he was with a Sannin. It shouldn't take that long, right? Kurenai wouldn't admit it, but she was worried for him. He has a huge bounty on his head for just a fresh Chunin. Mika smiled, I'm sure he will be alright, in fact I think he is perfectly fine. Kurenai frowned, you know about the bounty and that he is on an A-rank mission. She was surprised that his team wasn't even slightly nervous or worried. Mika started to laugh which annoyed Kurenai before pointing behind her. Kurenai lost her anger and became confused, turning around, her eyes widened. Naruto is walking down the road with a thoughtful look on his face. Getting up and running up to Naruto, but not before looking back at a smirking Mika and Toshiro who had an eyebrow raised. Hey. I thought you would come and tell me when you got back so we could continue training. She yelled, she is kind of annoyed, this is the second time he didn't tell her when he got back, she thought he liked training with her. Plus it isn't like she had Genjutsu partners lining up to train with her either. Naruto looks up to see a pouting Kurenai walking up to him, oh. Sorry, I got back yesterday and after reporting and I went to my apartment and passed out. I just woke up, I'm looking for Kakashi sensei. Kurenai nodded and told him to follow her and she led him to the Dango restaurant. He looks around to see that his teammates are eating at a table. Good thing you didn't die, Kurenai would have been broken. She was pinning the whole time. Mika said, laughing at the end, and Toshiro just shook his head. Naruto looks over to a frowning Kurenai who has a small blush on her cheeks. Well, have you guys seen Kakashi sensei? I wanted to ask him something. Well I'm here, Toshiro, what weapon do you think I am fitted for? Naruto asked, he spared the most with Toshiro outside of Kakashi, and maybe he would have thought of something that would fit him better. I'm not very sure, but you don't flow through the motions naturally with the staff. You have speed and your taijutsu is precise, so get something that fits that I suppose. Like a tanto or chikudo. Katanas, I would think, are too large and other weapons require more strength, too much for a small fry like you. Said a smirking Toshiro. Naruto has a tick mark but lets the comments slide. Naruto is silent and thinking, I want to hear what Kakashi thinks before I go to the weapon shop. Well, I'm going to find Kakashi-sensei, see you around. Said Naruto. Kurenai got up and walked over to him. I'll go with you. I'm done eating anyway. Naruto smiled and nodded while Mika and Toshiro watched silently. When the two of them walk out, Mika smirks before finishing the dango. 2 hours later. Naruto and Kurenai are really annoyed, they have been to every spot they thought that Kakashi would be at. Kurenai looks at Naruto with a frown. Why don't we just get to the weapons shop before we waste the whole day looking for Kakashi-san? Kurenai said she really didn't want to keep wasting the time she was spending with Naruto looking for the elusive Jonin. Yeah, no need to waste all of our daylight. Said Naruto. Turning around and heading to the weapons shop before they notice that Kakashi is reading his book walking a few feet behind them. Sensei. Where have you been? We've been looking for you for like 2 hours. Naruto is really holding himself from attacking his sensei, plus he knows that he doesn't really want to hear the answer. I have been following you guys for a bit wondering what you two have been up to. But then I realized that you two were on a date so I was supervising. Kakashi said he looks to be genuine, but Naruto knew that on the inside he was laughing crazily. Kurenai's eyes red from anger and embarrassment, she just snarled and lunged at the Jonin, but was grabbed by Naruto. 2 hours. We have been looking for you for 2 hours. And you have been following us. She screamed, she looked like she's about to burst, so Naruto just stepped in to calm her down. This is actually quite common with sensei, don't take it personally, he is just an asshole. Said Naruto. Kakashi's sweat dropped at that, so you needed me, Naruto. I want to know what weapon you think I am more fitted for. Asked Naruto. Takuto. Kakashi didn't even pause, he's been thinking it since he saw how Naruto fought, plus with his affinity for wind he could cut through almost anything, and a Chikuto is typically lighter than a katana while still having good reach. In his opinion it'd be perfect for the blind, plus his mother used a Chikuto and had a style that he could use. Naruto nods and thanks Kakashi before dragging Kurenai away before she completely loses it. Higurashi Weapon Shop. Welcome to Higurashi Weapon Shop, I'm Akamon and Naruto. Taiji said, noticing that it was the blonde again he didn't bother introducing himself again. Hello Taiji-san, this is my friend Kurenai Yuhi. I'm looking for a Chikuto. I need it to be top quality. Naruto said he wants to get the best he could since he got a lot of money from his mission with Jiraiya. Taiji nodded and thought, well I could order one from Tetsu no Kuni, but it will take a while and will be quite expensive. Okay, put in the order please. Naruto knew that a quality weapon from Tetsu no Kuni would be better than anything he could get from Konoha. I will put in an order to one of my friends there, it will take a few weeks. I will let you know when it is here. Naruto thanks the man before he grabs Kurenai so they can get in some much needed training. 2 years later. Hokage's office. Not much change in the 2 years that's passed. Naruto would take missions with his team, Kurenai's team or just another random team that was assigned to him. Naruto's made a huge leap in skill in the past 2 years of training. Using the resistant seal method of training that his father used worked remarkably on his speed. Naruto also was given a scroll left behind by his mother for his sword style, it's a style she made herself. It is fantastic, especially when he was ambushed by a few missing nin a few months ago, they didn't even stand a chance. Naruto made liberal use of his clones to research jutsu in the library and to train in chakra control. He is now at least Jonin level in nin, tai, gen, and kenjutsu. He is learning the intro to medical ninjutsu because of a scare he had on a mission he was leading where one of his teammates was badly injured, he had nothing he could do, that wasn't a feeling that Naruto wants to feel again. Jutsu is coming along as well, he really likes experimenting with explosive notes. Naruto also spent a lot of time with his Nai-chan, he and Kurenai were now very close with each other, spending most of his time with her whenever he got the chance. Especially after Kurenai was made, since they could take missions together much more often. Toshiro and Mika are still an ongoing couple, and Toshiro was given the Anbu invite 3 months ago. Naruto has only seen him once since then, so he couldn't ask how it was. Mika is training as much as she could so that she could hopefully move up to Jonin in a few years. Kurenai is being looked at to become a Takebetsu Jonin for Genjutsu, she is quickly making a name for herself with her talent in Genjutsu, much to her pride. She is also improving in Taijutsu and Ninjutsu, thanks to constantly training with Naruto. Naruto wasn't idle either, constantly going on missions and training. He made a lot of friends much to his happiness, and most of the ninja he went on missions with are starting to respect him for his skill. Right now Naruto is walking to the Hokage's office with a curious look on his face. He was called to appear before the Hokage 2 days ago for an appointment. He wasn't sure why he was nervous, but the request sounded like he was in trouble. Knocking on the Hokage's door and opening it when he heard the call out of enter. Walking in and standing in front of the desk he starts sweating, I haven't done anything to get in trouble, right? The look he was getting from the Hokage is unnerving, he didn't like being on the receiving end of it. The Hokage for his part is amused, man it's good to know I still got it, no words, and he's sweating. Hail to the king. Hiruzen clears his throat, you have been for 2 years, you have gone on quite a lot of missions in those 2 years as well. The Hokage then reaches into his desk and pulls out a stack of papers, then puts them in front of Naruto. Do you know what these are? Seeing the blind shake his head, these are recommendations for your promotion to Jonin, there are quite a lot of them. Naruto's eyes widened when he heard about the promotion, he didn't think that he would be promoted this early. He gave up on beating Kakashi, he made Genin after Kakashi, later than him, and he missed the Jonin record like 5 months ago. With all these recommendations I would be foolish not to take serious consideration into promoting you. So for the last 5 missions you have been in charge I was having you looked at. Chunin Naruto Uzumaki, I hereby promote you to Jonin. Announced Hiruzen. Naruto waited for the rest of the speech, then frowned when nothing came. That wasn't what I was expecting from a promotion to Jonin. The Hokage smiled, everyone thought that. Everybody expects more of a speech, but usually it's a piece of paper with a seal that has the Jonin vest sealed into it. Naruto makes a mental note for when he becomes Hokage that he would try and make it a little more of a ceremony if he could. Thank you Hokage-sama, I accept the promotion and will serve the village to the best of my ability. Naruto bows to his leader only to be slapped on the back. Congrats kid. Jonin already looked at that. We have to celebrate. Jiraiya said he heard from his sensei that he was looking at Naruto for a promotion. Jiraiya made an effort to make it back to the village to be there like he was for Minato. Naruto is grinning like crazy and feels a rush of joy at his sensei's proud grin. This is so amazing. So what now? Nothing really changes, you lead the missions you go on now and will be asked to go on air ranks possibly even higher should it be required, but other than that nothing much. Hiruzen always found it funny that everyone, even himself, thought that the promotion to Jonin was a huge deal that the whole village would be a part of. Everyone is always underwhelmed. Naruto's sweat dropped, well I'm going to tell everyone I know. Naruto leaves the office wearing a slightly different vest, it's a darker shade of green. All the shinobi nodded to him respectfully seeing the promotion. Chapter 10. Firing the cannon into the wave. Naruto's apartment. Naruto was in his apartment working on a new explosive note, it would be his best one yet. He was grinning madly, almost maniacally. For the past week after his promotion he was training and waiting for his first mission, also Kurenai was on a mission so he couldn't celebrate with her. Road to Naruto's apartment. Kurenai was currently walking to Naruto's apartment. In the past 2 years she has grown quite a lot now at almost 5'6" she was taller than Naruto by 2.5 inches, something she really likes to make fun of Naruto about. She is wearing a tight red shirt with mesh under it and black tights that come down to her mid-thigh. Her training with Naruto has been very helpful, Naruto helped train her in Taijutsu and Ninjutsu so that she wasn't completely relying on Genjutsu. She used her fire affinity and was learning lightning jutsu to use in conjunction with her Genjutsu, also to become a full Jonin she needed 2 elements. Her Taijutsu was coming along well. She was fast and defensive. She liked to stay back and keep her opponents at a distance, but should they get too close she could defend herself and get away. She was coming up to Naruto's apartment, Mika told her that Naruto wanted her to come by as soon as she got back from her mission. Not even knocking, just walking in to see Naruto stick an explosive note to his chest over his heart. Naruto looked at the door to see Kurenai walk into his apartment, he grinned and made a hand sign, and the tags started to burn. Korean's eyes widen and yell no. The explosion was small but it was right over his heart. Kurenai was starting to cry, Naruto must be dead no way he would survive it. She heard laughing and looked at the clearing smoke. Naruto was laughing and didn't look any different for the most part, although he stopped laughing when he saw that Kurenai was crying, whoa, Nai-chan. I'm fine. These are my new explosive notes. They explode in only one direction. It is so safe you can put it on your chest and the explosion wouldn't hurt whatsoever. Kurenai was frozen before she punched Naruto. What the hell? Don't ever do that again. What the hell made you test that on your chest, what if it wasn't finished? Before she could continue freaking out. Naruto hugged her with an amused expression, he didn't think she would freak out, but in hindsight he probably waved and mouthed, I'm sorry before blowing it. The joke was in bad taste. Taking a few breaths and letting go of Naruto, so, what did you want to see about Naruto-kun? Mika-chan said that you had something to tell me as soon as I got home from my mission. Naruto smiled widely, I was promoted to Jonin last week. Kurenai was shocked, she knew that Naruto was stronger than her by a lot. The only thing she is better than him in is Genjutsu, but he was able to keep up for the most part until she started using her best techniques. But to be promoted this soon it was incredible. You must have the record for the fastest promotion to Jonin. Kurenai said impressed. Naruto just shook his head, Kakashi was promoted faster and so was Itachi. He was still upset at not breaking the record. But, I was promoted very fast and I am still the most impressive ninja in the village if I do say so myself. Kurenai just snorted with a smile on her face. So, Nai-chan wants to celebrate. I would love some ramen. Kurenai nodded and they left for Ichiraku's. Close to Ichiraku. Naruto and Kurenai were walking to the ramen stand when Naruto noticed that a lot of ninja were running around frantically. Naruto jumped up and stopped. What's going on? It seemed like there was some sort of emergency. They looked at who stopped him. Naruto. Nice, you got promoted to Jonin already, incredible. He shook his head to focus on the task at hand. We are suspecting Mizuki has stolen the scroll of seals. Both Naruto and Kurenai, who jumped up during the explanation, were shocked that someone could steal the scroll from the Hokage vault. Naruto took a good look at them before snapping his fingers. Oh. You're Iruka, good to see you Iruka. Iruka and Kurenai sweat dropped at his sudden realization. Well, let's go see if we can find the traitor. Naruto and Kurenai sped off to the surrounding forest to look for Mizuki. Naruto-kun, do you feel that? Of course he felt that it was a sudden explosion of chakra to their east. Let's go. Scene of the chakra burst. Mizuki was laughing crazily, he just used the curse seal that Orochimaru had given him as incentive to steal the scroll. He felt so much more powerful now that he was using his master's chakra. Mizuki. What do you think you are doing? Naruto and Kurenai landed in the opening next to Mizuki. I'm leaving this pathetic village Kyuubi. Now die. Mizuki didn't know why, but he really wanted to kill something, and Naruto was the perfect person to do that, so he rushed the blonde and the confused Kurenai. Mizuki took one of the huge shuriken off his back and tossed it at the blonde. Naruto unsealed his from his wrist where a seal was tattooed and blocked the huge shuriken. Naruto managed to stop the shuriken and grabbed it in the center before he tossed it back at Mizuki and went through seals for the shuriken shadow clone jutsu, turning one huge shuriken into over a dozen. Kurenai wasn't idle either, she managed to camouflage the shuriken as birds that Mizuki ignored and charged at two, but was knocked off his feet and noticed that he was impaled by 3 enormous shuriken and that his right arm was missing. Naruto was standing over him with his heart. Anything you have left to say, traitor? Curse you should have been. He was silenced by Naruto, who pierced his heart with his. The frowning Kurenai looked over to the blonde who picked up the scroll and put it on his back. What did he mean by Naruto-kun? Kyuubi. I don't understand why your father took care of Kyuubi when you were born. Naruto looked down silently at the dead traitor. No. I never said anything to you about it. But. Is sealed inside of me. He didn't dare look up at Kurenai, fearing the worst. He never told anyone his secret. He was thrown off balance by a powerful hug. Naruto wrapped his arms around Kurenai. Why didn't you tell me? Kurenai whispered almost too low for Naruto to hear. Naruto tightened his hold on Kurenai. I didn't want you to know what I was. Kurenai flinched against Naruto. What you hold, not what you are. You're still my Naruto-kun, nothing will change that. She looked Naruto in the eye, who was looking at her with shock. He never talked to anyone about the Kyuubi, he hated it. It's a useful tool, but he didn't like what it made him feel like, he felt like a monster. But to hear that the girl that has managed to steal his heart during the last 2 years say that she accepted him and didn't care. Naruto looked at her for a second before pulling her in a kiss. Kurenai was surprised for a second before responding to him. Naruto held her tighter before releasing her lips and putting his forehead against Kurenai's. Both of them were content to just look at each other. Naruto kissed her one more time before backing away. You don't know how good it is to hear that, since I realized how I felt about you. It's only been harder and harder to convince myself to tell you. I just didn't know what you would do. Naruto had a small smile. It wasn't every day that you confess to someone that has all but confirmed that the feelings were mutual. Kurenai smiled. Naruto-kun, you should have told me. We are together almost every chance we get. Don't think that just because you have something sealed in you that I would hate you. Naruto grabbed her hand and started to walk toward the village. All this romance, he didn't want to forget to return the scroll that Mizuki stole, or that they found him in the first place. The hunt was probably still going. Hokage's office. Naruto reported everything to the Hokage about Mizuki, and the most troublesome thing was the use of the curse seal. This was obviously organized by Orochimaru. I see. So he was helping my wayward student. The third was troubled. Anything that involved his student was bad news, and if Orochimaru was getting this bold, then he was getting close to something. Hokage-sama, has Jiraiya-sensei said anything about Orochimaru recently? Naruto wanted to know, and he also wanted to know what his perverted sensei has been up to. No, he hasn't said anything other than the new village, the Sound Village, was starting to become bigger and that he was still involved. Something we have known for 2 years since the Kabuto incident that you were a part of. Naruto did know about that, he was lucky he hadn't died. Kimimaro outclassed him in speed and technique. He would rectify that loss the next time he saw the bone using shinobi. If that is all, Hokage-sama. The Hokage nodded and dismissed the two shinobi, but not before. I'm glad you two are finally together, although I wish you had done so 3 months sooner, so I would have won the bet. A chuckling Hokage called out. Naruto turned around with a confused look, while Kurenai was curious on how the Hokage knew and furious that people were betting on hers and Naruto's love life. The third, seeing the confusion, pointed to their hands that they haven't separated from each other since the forest. Blushing at being caught. Wait. You were betting on this old man. Who else was in on it? Barking out a laugh while the new couple glared. Well, your senseis and team, some of your friends, a few that worked in the office, some civilians that have seen you in the street, and a couple emissaries from Suna. Both were shocked that so many people were involved. Pretty much everyone who has seen them together most likely placed a bet. Though fuming, decided it was better to leave before they had an incident. Kurenai's apartment. Naruto walked Kurenai back to her place. Even though tonight definitely started out bad with the whole Mizuki thing, I'm glad you still like me, even though you know that I'm a container Nai-chan. Naruto had a huge smile and was tightly hugging Kurenai, pulling back from the hug before kissing her again. Kurenai this time took the lead in the kiss, between sucking on his tongue or exploring his mouth with her tongue. It didn't matter if she wanted to do this for a while, and she would enjoy it. Naruto was happy to let her do what she wanted. She was his and he had no need to fight over it. Separating from the kiss with a trail of saliva between them, Naruto whispers a goodbye before leaving. Next day. Classroom 219. The newly graduated genin were waiting for their senseis to come and announce the new teams. Sasuke was brooding in his seat, the fangirls were yelling, and he was trying to decide if killing them would be worth it. Sakura Haruno managed to get the seat next to Sasuke. She was trying to look cute so that Sasuke would notice her, ask her out, then they would fall in love. Then after the first date they would show their love for one another at his place all night until she was pregnant, and then he would be hers for her, not to mention whenever she wanted. A girl could dream. She quickly wiped away some drool before Sasuke noticed. Sasuke shivered for some reason, but managed to keep his bored facade up. He heard the door open and walked to Ruka with a clipboard. Okay everyone, I would like to congratulate you on becoming genin. I will be assigning the 3-man teams, then you will wait for your senseis to come and pick you up. Everyone in the room was waiting with anticipation. Team 1 is. Going through the irrelevant team Sasuke zoned out until he heard his name. Team 7 is Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and the door opened up and a blonde kid with a Jonin vest and some really pale kid walked in. Sorry I'm late, Iruka. But it took forever to find this kid. Naruto was glaring at the pale boy. He wasn't going to tell them that he was having a hard time finding the kid. It would be embarrassing for a Jonin to have trouble finding a genin. It's okay Naruto, you must be Sai, right? Iruka questioned the extremely pale kid. Sai gave a very weird smile. I am Sensei-san. Naruto just grumbled about weird kids wasting his time. Sai went to take his seat in the only spot, which was next to Sakura. She eyed him strangely before looking ahead toward Iruka to find who was the third person that would be on her team. Hey. You're Naruto Uzumaki, right? Kiba yelled out to the blonde. He looked familiar, the name caused Sasuke to perk up. Naruto just looked at the source of the noise. Yes I am. In Yuzuka-san. Naruto didn't know anyone other than the Uchiha's name, and to be honest, he didn't really care that much either. After hearing who he was, most of the students started whispering about him. Sasuke just eyed him angrily. He is already a Jonin. I need to start training harder, next time I see Naruto I will challenge him to a spar. Sasuke thought resolutely. Do you need me to stay in Iruka? Iruka just waved him off so he left. Now, Sai will be the third member of Team 7. Team 8 will be Kiba and Yuzuka, Hinata Hyuga and Shino Abiram. Team 10 will be Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka and Choji Akimichi. Now that he is done, he just left, the senseis will be coming in to take the students any minute. Sasuke waited, ignoring the pink-haired girl who, despite begging God to keep her out of his life, somehow managed to be his teammate. Life really liked to fuck with him, maybe she would die or just never spoke again, whichever worked, he didn't care either way. Then there was the pale kid who was eyeing him and was calling the pink-haired girl ugly, which if he was anyone he would laugh hysterically. Some guy smoking took Team 10, then a few minutes later, and a lady that Sasuke would readily agree was smoking hot came and took Team 8. She was in a trench coat, tight almost see-through shirt, amazing body and a miniskirt. Sasuke wasn't gay, but even if he were he would still find her sexy. She took Team 8 much to his sadness. He was confused when nobody came and got them. Where was their sensei? Naruto's apartment. Naruto growled and tossed his advanced theory to the applications of the Tenketsu book he was reading across the room. His project wasn't coming along as fast as he hoped. Naruto walked into his kitchen to make some lunch when he heard his window open up. Yo, Naruto. Kakashi wanted to visit his former student, now Jonin. Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at the academy picking up the Uchiha and the other two? Naruto didn't like that his sensei was taking more students, that meant that he would be going on missions with him as much, which the more he thought about it, the sadder he got. His team was all but done, Toshiro was making a name in Anbu, and Mika was training to become a hunter ninja ever since she met Hana in Yuzuka and they became friends. Waving him off, "Mama, I'll get around to it. Want to help me test them?" Kakashi lazily asked the blonde Jonin. "No, I have a meeting with the old man. And don't be lazy, you go do your job." Naruto wasn't going to do his work for him. Nodding to his student before leaving to get his new team, he was like 4 hours late or something. Classroom 219. Sasuke was going to burn something to the ground, it would only take a few hand signs. 5 hours. I have been waiting 5 hours for some asshole to come and get us. The door finally opened and some silver-haired cyclops walked in and eyed them for a second. "Meet me up on the roof, don't be late, you guys have wasted enough time already." Sasuke almost killed him right there. But just before he could, Jonin puffed away. Arriving at the rooftop, Kakashi eyed them. "Naruto told me about the Pale Kitty suspects that Sai is from the Foundation, Danzo's private Anbu force. The Hokage confirmed it and said that he wanted me to keep an eye on him and that he was there to assure Danzo that Sasuke is safe and receiving appropriate training. Sasuke is said to be some kind of prodigy and genius, even though he is graduating at the average age and doesn't have his Sharingan, so we will see if it is true or if it's just pandering to the last Uchiha. Sakura is a smart girl with average physical abilities. I will work her into the ground or I will get Kurenai to help me out. She hates wannabe Kenwaichis, plus it will be hilarious." Seeing that they were waiting for them to start, "Hello you three, how about we introduce ourselves?" Sakura didn't really know what to say. "You go first sensei since you kept us waiting for so long." Shrugging before beginning, "My name is Kakashi Haddock, my likes are my former team and other things, dislikes are annoying people, dreams for the future is. Well, I like to read." He shared a lot more than he intended. "You next Pinky." Sakura frowned at the nickname. "My name is Sakura Haruno, my likes are. I mean the person I like is. Dislikes are Eno Pig. Dreams for the future are. Oh my." She started to giggle and blush, making Kakashi sweat drop and Sasuke shiver again. Sai went next. "My name is Sai, I like to draw, I hate traitors, and I have no hobbies or dreams." Quick and to the point, Kakashi might like this kid. Sasuke cleared his throat. "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I don't particularly like anything. There are many things I hate and I don't have a dream. What I have is a goal because I will accomplish it. I will restore my clan and kill a certain man," Sasuke said coolly. Sakura had stars in her eyes, Kakashi eyed him before sighing. Sai on the other hand did nothing to let Danzo know. "Danzo-sama will want to hear this, it seems the Uchiha is indeed a flight risk, he has no ties to the village and will do whatever he can to gain power. Okay you three, tomorrow we are going to have a little test, meet me in the training ground 7 at 7. Don't eat any food and be ready to fight for your right to become full genin." Sasuke and Sakura were shocked that they weren't genin yet. "What do you mean sensei, aren't we already genin?" Sakura didn't understand what her sensei meant. "Well, your test was to see if you were eligible to become genin. You didn't think making a clone made you a ninja, did you?" He almost laughed when he saw in their eyes that it was indeed what they thought. "See you tomorrow, Jana." Kakashi left to go read his book in peace. The three almost genin left to go do their routines to prepare for their test tomorrow. Hokage's office. Naruto was listening to the Hokage tell him about a situation in Wave that was getting worse, and if the bridge builder that arrived today was any indication, they were getting desperate since he was asking for a C-rank mission. The Hokage wasn't stupid, he has read the reports and knew what was going on. This was a B, maybe even A-rank mission. Naruto will be escorting the bridge builder to Wave and keeping him safe until he is done. Your team should be here any minute. As if on cue, the door opened revealing 3 shinobi, a Hyuga, a green wearing bowl haircut kid and a girl with her hair in Chinese-style buns. Only the boy in green had a jacket on. Team 9 or Team Guy as it's called now was promoted during the last exams 4 months ago. Naruto was one of Lee and Niji's sparring partners, he helped them get ready and went on missions with them from time to time, but Lee has picked up something really annoying from his sensei. "My eternal rival. It is good to see you, Naruto-kun, in such a youthful Jonin jacket. I will train 5 times harder to achieve a promotion to the youthful position in Jonin next year, or I will do 500 laps around the village with my hands," Lee said in his usual exuberant way. Ever since becoming a Genin now Chunin under Guy, he named Naruto his eternal rival and would challenge him to spars whenever he saw him. It wasn't too bad since Lee was a very good Taijutsu user, probably in the top 5 in the village. But it was exhausting. Lee is an animal whose stamina rivals his own. Naruto nodded to Niji and Tenten, both nodded back respectfully. "Good to see you too, Lee, so I guess Guy is busy or on another mission." The third nodded. "You can come in now, Tazuna." Hiruzen called out and in walked a drunken old man who sneered at the team. "This is who I get as protection for a bunch of kids." It was laughable, sure he asked for a C rank, but still. Naruto stepped forward, "Don't worry Tazuna-san, I am a Jonin of this village, and these three are all we will be more than capable of protecting you," Naruto said in his professional voice. Tazuna didn't look convinced but nodded. "Okay guys, get ready and meet me at the gate in 30 minutes. Team Guy nodded and left, and Tazuna decided to make his way to the gate himself. "There is something going on, isn't there old man?" Naruto did buy that this was a simple C rank, a Jonin with 3 would be overkill for something like that. Sharp as ever Naruto-kun, "No, I believe there will be shinobi opposition since the situation in Wave is deteriorating." Naruto nodded and left to get ready. One day later. Road to Wave. Naruto was walking next to Tazuna with Neji behind them, with his Byakugan active. Lee and Tenten were leading them down the road. Neji's eyes widened slightly before walking up to Naruto. There are 2 enemy ninjas disguising themselves in a Genjutsu 300 meters ahead. Naruto nodded. "Lee, Tenten stay here with Tazuna Neji, and myself will take care of the 2 ninja up ahead." Lee and Tenten nodded and flanked Tazuna. Gesturing for Neji to lead the way to the 2 ninja they ran off. Heading closer to Naruto makes clones look like Tazuna, Lee and Tenten. They walk forward past the obviously fake puddle. When they passed the puddle, 2 ninjas rose out of the puddle and charged Tazuna with their chains. Naruto unsealed his and cut the chain before kicking the one on the left into a tree, knocking him out. While Neji disabled his target with ease. Naruto ties them up and summons a toad to tell the Hokage to send Anbu to retrieve them. "But as usual Neji, let's go get the others." Neji nodded and they rushed off. Lee was bored, he wanted to go fight the ninja up ahead to show off his fiery passion in youthful combat. He heard someone coming before seeing it was his eternal rival and his other rival arriving without a scratch on them. "As expected of my rivals, not even a scratch after engaging the enemy," Lee said in a surprisingly normal volumed voice. "Right, Tazuna-san. The 2 ninja targeted you. Is there something that you want to tell me about the real nature of this mission?" Naruto already knew, but he wanted to hear it from him. Tazuna started to sweat before spilling the beans on the whole situation in Wave. Between Gato taking over the country and squeezing the life out of it to all the poverty and starving children. "Don't worry Tazuna-san, Hokage-sama knows the situation of Wave and that is why we were sent instead of a genin team. So we intend to complete the mission, although when you have the money we expect you to repay the village the appropriate amount of money." Naruto surprised everyone on how professional he was being since he was the youngest person present. Tazuna bowed in thanks before they started walking again. "Although, the next person who will attack us is going to be like me, not anymore like the last ones." Naruto told them and Team Guy all nodded seriously. Nami no Kuni a few hours away from Tazuna's house. Neji was doing another scan. He noticed 2 people talking a few meters behind them before the bigger one started sneaking forward while the other was getting in a different position. "Naruto. We have 2 people sneaking towards us, one is waiting back, the other is duck." Right as Neji yelled, Naruto pulled Tazuna down right before a massive sword flew over them. The giant sword impaled the tree with a shirtless man with camouflage arm warmers and his face covered in bandages stood on top of his blade. Naruto frowned. "Zabuza Mamachi, the demon of the mist. One of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist," Naruto said. Team Guy flinched at the powerful opponent that was looking at them like they were ants. "You're the 4th Hokage's brat, huh? Well, how about you hand over that old man and we can go our separate way." Zabuza didn't think it would work, but he was offering a way out for the blonde up-and-comer. "Not going to happen." Naruto looked over to Neji. "I want you to go and handle the other ninja watching. Lee, Tenten, you stay and guard Tazuna, I will need to focus on this fight." Naruto whispered to his team and Neji jumped away. "I guess the Hyuga chickened out, smart kid." Zabuza taunted. Naruto didn't respond, just got ready. Naruto took out his and channeled wind chakra through the blade. His blade was very strong, one of the best swords the blacksmith in Tetsu no Kuni has ever made, but under the weight of Kubikirabacho it might snap. Zabuza jumped off the tree before laughing. "I guess you want to cross swords with me, will your funeral?" He didn't care, he put his hands in a strange seal and mist started to cover the field. Naruto, knowing exactly what Zabuza was trying to do, made a seal and used the wind release. Great breakthrough to blow away the mist before charging in to handle Zabuza. Zabuza swung his sword down onto Naruto, who parried it and went for a stab through the heart, only for Zabuza to dodge and almost take off his head. Naruto tried backing away, but Zabuza kept pressuring him. Naruto decided to go back on the offense, dodging a swing and trying to cut Zabuza in half. Zabuza leaned back but still received a gash on his chest. He noticed that Naruto's blade was glowing and that it was almost a foot longer thanks to the blue glow that he identified as wind chakra. "The flying swallow technique, it's been a while since I have seen that. You're an impressive brat." Zabuza jumped back onto the lake where he started going through hand signs. Naruto, not wanting him to finish, pointed 2 fingers at the lake and used the lightning release. Lightning stream to shock Zabuza. Using the few seconds of Zabuza's shock, he went through more seals to use the blade of wind. Zabuza didn't notice the near-invisible longsword of wind that tore through him as he touched the ground. Naruto went through more seals as he walked over to Zabuza. He kneeled and placed his hand on Zabuza's forehead, and a seal appeared on him. It was a seal that all Anbu Black Hawk members use, so that their bodies are never taken by the enemy. He stood up and used the ram seal, and Zabuza burned and turned to ash. With Neji jumped away from his team to attack the masked ninja, who was watching Naruto and Zabuza talk back and forth. When he was about to attack, 4 came at him with perfect accuracy, but with the Byakugan it was easy to dodge. "Why are you attacking me? I am a hunter ninja for Kurigakure no Sado." The ninja lied, making Neji snort. "Ikeke Genkai allows me to see all. I saw both you and Zabuza talking before he attacked us, so I know that both of you are working together," Neji said coolly, and the masked ninja flinched. "I see, please don't make me fight you, Shinobi-san," the masked ninja almost pleaded, making Neji raise his eyebrow. Neji didn't respond before rushing in. The masked ninja engaged Neji into jutsu that went back and forth. Neji kept getting in pokes all over his arms, and the masked ninja caught his right hand. "I have the advantage, you have lost one of your hands and I can do this." The masked ninja went through one-handed seals and looked at his hand with confusion when he didn't activate. "You think I was just poking you for fun? I have been sealing you Tenketsu. Your chakra can't run to your hands, making it impossible, you have lost." Deciding that he wanted to end the fight, he used the fact they were close to use rotation to blast the masked ninja away and got into a strange stance. "You are in my field of divination." 8 trigram 64 palms. Neji rushed forward and in blinding speed, disabled all of the masked ninjas. The masked ninja was about to say something to Neji before Neji hit the masked ninja's heart, killing him instantly. Neji nodded to himself before placing a tag on the body, making it burn away and jumped away to join his team. Chapter 11. The Brewing Storm. With Naruto and company. After dealing with Zabuza, Naruto sealed away Kibikurabucho into a storage scroll. Maybe he could keep it or just sell it, who knows. Tazuna was looking at Naruto with awe. The blonde kid had managed to stop all the threats to his life quickly and efficiently. It was very impressive and much more than he expected. "Neji should be back any minute now, then we can resume our journey to Nami. Tazuna-san, is there a place that we can stay while we guard you?" Naruto doubted that there are hotels in Nami, but it didn't hurt to ask. "You all can't stay with me. It's the least I can do and it's not like there is anywhere else other than the street." Tazuna said the last part angrily. Nami used to have many tourists and places to stay until Gato took over, closed everything down, and started to squeeze the life out of his home. Nodding to the old man, they wait for Neji to arrive. "Naruto-kun, what will we be doing with this most youthful when we arrive at Nami?" Lee, from the moment he heard about the state of Nami, he wanted to end Gato's youthful reign of youthfulness. "I'm not sure yet, but we can't leave him how it is. Once Tazuna-san finishes the bridge, Gato could just put up a toll and make it harder to enter and leave. So we will have to take care of him once we evaluate the situation and how many guards he still has." Naruto fully intended on ending Gato, but before that he would have Neji scout Gato's compound once they find it. He'll have Neji do that as well. Hyugas are very helpful. Neji landed next to them. "My opponent wasn't anything too powerful, fast but hesitant, which is strange to find in someone who is a missing nin." The masked ninja seemed like he didn't want to fight Neji, which didn't make a difference to him, it just made killing him and moving on easier. Naruto nodded. "Okay, let's move out. Tazuna-san said that we can stay at his home for the duration, so that's where we will be heading." Everyone nods and they resume their journey. The Megakure no Sado. Pain was overlooking his village. He felt pride in that Yuhiko's dream was close to being completed. It was time for them to start pushing the villages where they want them so they can take the Jinchuriki without much trouble. The blue-haired woman walked up behind him. "Pain-sama, everyone was waiting." She left without another word. Turning back towards the village under him, he goes through seals, art of astral projection. Pain thought, and he suddenly appeared in a room with only a lantern inside, with 8 other projections inside, all wearing the same black cloak with red clouds on them. "It's been a while since we have all gathered not since Orochimaru." A man with a shark-like grin commented. "Yes, we need to move this along, bounties to collect and money to make." A deep voice growls. "Quite. I have called you here to notify you that we will begin the hunt for the beasts. We have collected the appropriate amount of funds and are currently ready to start the sealing ahead of schedule. Sasori, Deidara, you two will capture the Ichibi as soon as you can." However, to make it look like it was an assassination by Konoha, the relations between the villages have become strained and it would do well for them to enter a war so we can better mask our movements. Zetsu will leave a clone to trick Suna into thinking the Ichibi was killed and not taken. Bikuzu and Haiden, I want you two to kill any Konoha shinobi near Suna's border and make sure it is by blade or Futenjutsu. Pain was about to continue, but Haiden decided to start laughing about all the bodies that he was going to sacrifice to the great Jashin. If you are done, Itachi and Kisame, the two of you will continue your surveillance on Yonbi and Gobi. Don't be afraid to stir up some trouble as well, but make sure it isn't close to Iwa, they know who we are and what we look like, so stay away for now or this will all be pointless. Zetsu will notify you when the Ichibi is captured. Dismissed. Pain watched as they all left one after another until he was looking back at his tower with his blue-haired companion. Pain looked up at the perpetually raining sky through the eyes of Tendo Pain. We are nearing it, the peace that Yuhiko dreamed of is within my grasp. He got up and went back inside of his tower, he had work to do. Nami no Kuni. Tizuna's house. Unaware of the brewing storm, Naruto and company were eating a lovely breakfast with Tizuna's family, Tsunami and Inari. Tsunami was a nice lady that was widowed when Gato publicly executed her husband after he tried to stand up to Gato. Inari was a small child about the age of the third's grandson, he was a little brooder that only thought about all the suffering he has felt and how nobody would understand. And normally Naruto would talk to the kid and try to help him, but he has other things to worry about other than playing therapist for a damaged kid. Niji, I want you and Tenten to start searching around for Gato's place while I guard Tizuna while he is working. Lee, I want you to stay close to Tsunami-san and Inari, no doubt Gato will try to harm them once Tizuna-san gets back to work. The three nod and all get up to eat so they can get ready. Bridge with Naruto and Tizuna. Naruto has been watching Tizuna and his helpers work on this bridge for the better part of 4 hours, all of them were very dedicated and hard-working, most didn't even stop for more than a minute or two for a break. Naruto walked up to Tizuna. Is there anything I can do to help Tizuna-san? Tizuna eyed the kid for a minute, he didn't know how much the kid could help since he was so small. Not sure, what can you do to help? Naruto took the time to look around at everyone to see what would help, after a minute he put his hands in the seal for the multi-shadow clone jutsu, creating a huge plume of smoke over the bridge. Everyone waited for it to clear to see what was going on. When the smoke cleared, over 100 clones were standing at attention. I made about 10 for each worker, they will listen obediently to the instructions given to them. Naruto said loud enough for all the workers to hear. Izuna was frozen, it would take a few more days to finish the bridge instead of weeks. Thank you so much Naruto. I don't know how to repay you. Tizuna was shaking Naruto's hand wildly. Brushing off his thanks, Naruto looks over to where he thinks Neji and Tenten are and hopes that they find Gato soon so they can put this mission behind them so they can return home. He has a strange feeling in the back of his mind that he will need to be home soon. But Neji and Tenten were getting annoyed, they went to several places that Gato was rumored to have his hideout, only for it to be empty. It seemed that Gato was smart enough to stay hidden for real. This is the last area that we have to search. If he isn't here, then we will just have Naruto burn the forest down. Tenten just sweat dropped at Neji's lack of patience. After running through the forest, Neji stops, I found it, the base is high up suspended in the treetops. Tenten grinned, you could say that they are hidden in the leaves. She waited for Neji to laugh only for him to glare at her. Please stop. Neji glares for another second before they leave to notify Naruto that they found the hideout. Izuna's home. Naruto was cleaning his house when Neji and Tenten walked inside the house. Please tell me that you found Gato. For each second that passed, Naruto got nervous about being away from Konoha. Yes, we found him. When do you want to strike? Naruto thought it over. Tomorrow night you, Lee and I will go while Tenten guards the family. Naruto made sure that Lee got some action on this mission, it would mean to make him guard the whole time. Yosh. I finally get to show my flames of youth. Lee exclaimed, he would finally get some action, he knew that his eternal rival was testing his flames of youth by making him keep guard the whole time. But his fiery passion burns too hot to be kept away from the fight. All of them heard someone slam their hand on a table. Why? Why are you all trying so hard? Gato will just kill you. Naruto looked at him for a second. Don't worry Inari, we will take care of Gato, and with my clones, your Jiji will be done with the bridge in less than a week. Naruto finished with a smile. There you go again. Always smiling, saying that you can save this place. Heroes don't exist. You don't know how hard life can be. Inari has had enough with these people, always happy and saying that they will fix everything. Naruto raised his eyebrow at that. Kid, you know that we are shinobi, right? Anyway, I'm not going to tell you that life is never hard, but what I will tell you is that giving up is the same as dying, so if you want to give up on making your life better, then you might as well die. Naruto said to the kid that was tearing up. Nobody said anything when Inari ran off. Sorry about Inari, Naruto-kun. Tsunami was embarrassed that her son would talk down to their potential saviors. Waving her off, don't worry Tsunami-san, he is a kid who lost his dad. I would be upset too, but when we clean up the country he will see that heroes are real. Naruto swore to himself that he would prove Inari wrong. Naruto got up from the couch and sealed it away and went to bed. Tomorrow is going to be a big day, stop Gato and save the country. This is why I wanted to be a ninja. What Naruto didn't know is that tomorrow changed a lot more than just Nami's situation. Sonagaku no Sato. What? Rasa was livid, his shinobi discovered Gaara's body outside of the village. This would normally be a good thing, but Gaara was going to be instrumental to the invasion in a month. Rasa thought about it for a second, and it could be worse, Gaara wouldn't likely listen to the plans anyway, so it could still work for the better. That's not all we found Kazekage-sama, we found some of these in the sand. They presented some headbands stained in blood as well as a scroll that contained a dead Konoha Jonin that looked to be crushed by sand. The office started to shake from the chakra Rasa was releasing, Rasa was shaking with fury. Not only was their weapon killed, but Konoha was the responsible. Rasa was thinking over what he was going to do, originally he was only going to bring a few Jonin and to the invasion. But now, he was going to bring everyone he could spare for the invasion. His golden dust would crush the leaf. Rasa took out a scroll to write a letter to Orochimaru. He was changing the invasion, if Orochimaru had a problem, then he would just kill the snake like he told the Toad Sage he would years ago. Baki. Rasa's strongest active Jonin was in the office a second later. Hi, Kazekage-sama. I want you to up Kankuro and Temari training, you won't be given any missions till the exams in a month. I will find someone to replace Gaara just to make sure that they are as strong as they possibly can be next month. After the second round Konoha always gives a month for training, so you will have that time as well. Dismissed. Baki left without a word. Baki hoped that Temari would be okay, she loved Gaara more than she could express. He was her baby brother and she could never get close to him, and now not only was he dead but was assassinated by Konoha. It didn't bode well for her. Kazekage Mansion. Temari was practicing with her fan, she was getting very good with wind release, her father praised her, saying that in a year or two, she would be on par with her sensei Baki. Kankuro was tweaking his puppet, he was learning and wanted to add seals that would shoot weapons from hidden compartments. Baki appeared in a wind body flicker, causing both of the students to jump in surprise. I have news for the both of you, Gaara is dead. He wanted to get that out of the way before he told them the rest. Kankuro let out a breath, well I hope he is at peace. Despite Gaara being his brother, Kankuro wasn't extremely sad about it. Gaara would constantly try or threaten to kill them and has killed their comrades for just talking to him, so he wasn't going to break down in sadness over his psycho brother's death. Temari on the other hand was on her knees clutching her chest. No. Gaara, I was such a horrible sister. I always thought that you would calm down one day, I never thought. Oh Gaara. She continued to shed tears for her dead brother, while her sensei and brother gave her a few minutes to mourn, they knew her feelings towards Gaara, and Temari's sadness was worse than Gaara's death for the both of them. After a few minutes so that Temari could compose herself, I'm sorry but that isn't all, he was assassinated by Konoha. Kankuro and Temari's eyes widened in shock before they hardened in anger. They what? Temari snarled, not only was he killed, but by their enemy in their own country. Temari would make them pay. Baki nodded seriously, yes, for the next month we will be training as hard as possible, the invasion has been altered and will be much bigger. Temari, I will be helping you with your wind, Kankuro you will be coming with me. I will get you help from the honored siblings. Temari nodded and went back to training even harder with a frown on her face. Baki and an excited Kankuro left. Mansion of the honored siblings. The honored siblings were sitting around the koi pond in the middle of their living room, Abizo was enjoying the peace when his head snapped up to look at the door, in walked the he recognized as Baki and the Kazekage's oldest and now only son. Baki and Kankuro bowed to the siblings, Abizo-sama, Chio-sama. They both said. Baki stepped forward, Chio-sama, I request that you test Kankuro to become your apprentice. Baki was smart enough to not force her into taking him, but to ask her to consider it. Chio eyes Kankuro for a minute, without warning or even a gesture a kunai flies at Kankuro's throat. Kankuro barely had time, but managed to avoid it. The puppet master's strength is in their ability to use a puppet. So they must be masters at avoiding harm, that was a test to see if you knew that. My kunai flew at you at a speed that is average for Jonin, only someone who has trained at dodging could hope to dodge it at your age. Chio said the last part with a bit of an impressed look in her eyes. Kankuro bowed in thanks, Baki-chan left us. I will take Kankuro here as a student at least until the invasion. Tell Kazekage-sama that we talked it over and Abizo and I will be going. Baki bowed and left in a swirl of wind. Now Kankuro. Nami no Kuni. Gato's hideout. Naruto, Neji and Lee looked up at the hideout, well you could say that they are hidden in the leaves. A grinning Naruto said to Neji and Lee. Neji face-palmed with a groan, a most youthful comparison to my lifelong rival. The ever-youthful Lee commented. Neji activated his Byakugan to inspect the hideout. Naruto, we don't have that many targets and none of them have chakra reserves larger than the average civilian. Naruto nodded with a serious look on his face. How many? 47 including Gato. Naruto nodded and thought about it for a second. Neji, since it would be the easiest for you, I want you to make your way to go and take care of him, search his office for anything useful. Lee, you and I will be the diversion. Naruto was grinning at the last part. Yosh. If I cannot eliminate more youthful enemies than you, I will run around Fire Country on my hands. Lee gave himself a self-challenge that he would do anyway, regardless if he wins or loses. Alright, let's get up there. Naruto went through seals for the Earth release. Earth-style rampart so that they can enter the suspended hideout. Lee and Naruto charged straight into the entrance to the base and engaged the bandit guards. It wasn't even a contest of strength, it was like a hot knife cutting through butter. Neji used a mayhem created by Naruto and Lee to sneak in to kill Gato. After about 3 minutes a youthful yell is heard, that makes 22 Naruto-kun. Naruto looks over to his green leotard-wearing rival. Me too. Naruto and Lee spot the 2 remaining bandits and exchange a challenging look. Both of them charge in a blur of speed that the bandits couldn't even follow before both of them were slammed into the wall unconscious. Well, that was fun, but it was a tie. Lee, let's go find Neji. Said a slightly disappointed Naruto at not being able to beat his rival. Gato's office. Neji, for the past 5 minutes, has been watching Gato beg for his life and offering everything he owned in exchange for it. And I will give you every whore I own. Anything. Say something. Neji hasn't said a word the whole time, only looking at him with a raised eyebrow. Neji walked forward. Here is what I will do. Neji used his gentle fist style to strike his heart, killing him instantly. How annoying, he didn't even let me get a word in the whole time. Oh well, let's see what we can find. Neji started to go through the office finding ledgers and financial statements. Naruto and Lee entered the room to find Neji gathering a stack of paper. I have his financial statements and his checkbooks. I'm ready to leave when you are. Naruto was surprised with the efficiency that Neji completed his tasks. Well, let's take the body to the town so they will know and burn this place down. Neji nods and Lee salutes and they gather their things to leave. Town square. The citizens of Nami were walking around with the typical gloom that they were used to. Naruto, Neji and Lee arrived at the town square with Gato over Naruto's shoulder. Citizens of Nami. We have slain Gato and gotten rid of his bandits. You are now safe from his reign of terror. Naruto was trying to find out if he was laying it on too thick, but judging by their faces, he wasn't. All of them looked at the body that was thrown on the ground and started to cheer now that they were free. Izuna's home. Tsunami was approaching Inari and was about to kiss his forehead when they heard someone run up the stairs. Tsunami, Inari. Gato has been killed and his forces are gone. Naruto and his team did it. An ecstatic Izuna said after he burst into the room. Inari shot up from his bed, really Gigi. So Naruto actually did it. He was shocked that someone was strong enough to take out Gato. He needed to thank them. Inari rushed down the stairs to find the blonde and stopped when the door opened and in walked Naruto, Neji and Lee. Hey Inari. Did Tazuna tell you the news? A grinning Naruto asked, already knowing the answer based on the fact that Inari was at the door looking like he was about to leave. Naruto. I can't believe it. You ended Gato. Thank you so much. Tazuna said, coming down the stairs. Inari managed to get out of his stupor at seeing Naruto and hugged him. I'm sorry that I said you would die, Naruto. Naruto ruffled his hair with a smile before retiring to his room to go to sleep. 1 week later. Hokage's office. Well, that is certainly interesting, they want to establish a trade agreement with us. Well Naruto, if you hand over the sword you retrieved, I'm sure that Kiri will offer a reward for returning it. Naruto handed the scroll to the third. That is all, dismissed. Naruto waited for Team Guy to leave before looking back at the Hokage. I want to recommend Neji be looked at for a promotion or at least given the opportunity to lead missions. He is mature, strong and reliable. Naruto was giving Neji solo tasks where he was in charge while he was on the mission and Neji performed flawlessly. Yes, Guy has been commending him in his reports recently. We will start giving him missions where he leads and in a year or so we will see if he is capable of being promoted. The third wasn't about to promote someone without them having at least 2 years of experience and at least 5 recommendations to Jonin. It wasn't that easy to become a Jonin despite what Naruto and Kakashi say. While I'm here, Naruto was interrupted by a rushing into the office with an alarm on his face. Hokage-sama, urgent news. Naruto and the Hokage looked at the Chunin with surprise. We have had a series of disappearances along the border of Kase no Kuni and Ta no Kuni in the past week. The Cumin hands a report to the Hokage. Hiruzen nods and dismisses the. Naruto looks at the Hokage with a frown. We know it's Orochimaru for him to start attacking us in the open like this. He is ready for something big. Not to mention the border of Suna, something fishy was going on. Yes, I fear that we have lived out the short times of peace we have managed to keep in the years since the Third Shinobi World War. Hiruzen said with a frown. Naruto looked down for a minute and faced the Hokage with a fire in his eyes. If war is coming then we will need to prepare, and with all respect you need to get some training in, old man. It has to have been a while since you have had a real fight. I will send a toad to Jiraiya sensei to see what he knows. If you want or need it, I can be your training partner for the time being. Hiruzen looked down at that. It has indeed been a long time since he was in combat and over 3 months since he has really trained. He would need to dedicate time to seriously train for the upcoming storm. Looking at the blonde in front of him he narrowed his eyes. Naruto was one of the few people who could somewhat keep up with him in ninjutsu. Hiruzen closed his eyes, his wayward student, the one he was too weak to kill. One of his biggest regrets was going to attack his home and kill his comrades. No, his family. Hiruzen opened his eyes with a fire in his eyes that was usually found in Lee and Guy's eyes. Hiruzen looked out his window over the village. This was his home, the village that his senseis left him so that he could keep safe, and his chosen successor died sacrificing his son to protect. Hiruzen would show them why he was called the Kami no Shinobi, and that it was suicide to attack his home and his people. Naruto. The blonde was brought out at the tone the third was using. We will be meeting in training ground 0 every morning at 6 am starting tomorrow. I will be calling back our shinobi slowly over the next month in preparation for the attack. I want you to notify Jiraiya about what has happened and have him check out what is going on in Ta no Kuni, then report here. Dismissed. Naruto nods and leaves to go do something productive. The third's tone was one he has never heard before. It was the Kami no Shinobi tone in the old man that has been dormant since the war. Hiruzen sat behind his desk quietly going over what he could in preparation for the upcoming storm. I will need to call a meeting for the Jonin to have them start to train the genin in wartime seriousness, not this lax peacetime stuff. I need to have Danzo tell me the situation in Suna. I'm sure that he knows something. Naruto and I need to train. Hopefully I can get Naruto to a much higher level in the next month so that he will be an even better asset. So much to do. He has a lot of work to do in such a little amount of time. Better start doing paperwork so he has an extra 3 hours to train every day. Training ground 27. Naruto summons Gamakichi and had him bring a scroll to Jiraiya. Now he was starting to go over all of the he knew in his head. He had quite a lot now that he thought of it. Naruto made 10 clones and had them spread out. Okay, I want you all to work on that new I have been making. Naruto summoned 50 more clones. You all separate into 5 groups and work on each element to get more practice using them in combinations. Naruto would sometimes learn and never need to use it, so he wanted practice using what he knew. Naruto himself started to do his physical routines, laps, sit-ups, pull-ups, push-ups and anything else that would help him while being under his new gravity seals. The gravity seals were a high level that would make your body feel like it was under multiple times the normal amount of gravity. The third told him that his sensei the second Hokage had him do this training around his age and it was working wonders for Naruto. Using another seal he is using as a basic weight seal for him, Naruto made it weigh 50 pounds more so that he could become faster with the swings. It was dangerous to become used to a different weighted sword, so he used this sparingly. 4 hours later. Sasuke Uchiha was walking around the training grounds looking for an empty one. Sometimes he likes to get out of the Uchiha training grounds to get a new environment. When he got to training ground 27, he noticed that a shirtless blonde was doing push-ups. Since this was the first training ground with less than 5 people he approached the blonde. Naruto sensed a person approaching a few minutes ago. He was wondering who it was. When he heard the person get close he looked up. If it isn't Sasuke Uchiha, what's up? Naruto never stopped doing push-ups, he just lifted his head to look at him. Sasuke raised his eyebrows, he recognized the whiskers. This was Naruto Uzumaki. This was his chance to fight him. You're Naruto Uzumaki, correct? Naruto nodded with a raised eyebrow. It didn't sound like Sasuke was in a nice mood. I want to fight you, I know you will win, but I want to test myself. Naruto eyed him for a moment before getting to his feet. They were about the same height so Naruto couldn't really intimidate him. Okay, let's see what you got, Sasuke. Naruto and Sasuke got into their stances and waited for the other to charge in. Naruto decided since he was the superior he should go first. Naruto charged in at a speed, not too fast, but it was perfect for fighting a genin like Sasuke. Sasuke readied himself. When Naruto first came at him he grabbed the arm and tried to pull him in to land a hit on his face. Naruto allowed himself to be pulled in and went under Sasuke and flipped the Uchiha on the ground. Sasuke was not one to be caught so easily, back-flipped off the ground to land on his feet, but tossed a handful of shuriken in Naruto who dodged them easily. Sasuke grinned, that was what he wanted. Using his teeth and hands he pulled a ninja wire attached to the shuriken and got Naruto caught in the wire. Not one to be caught so simply, Naruto channels wind chakra around his body to sever the wires before looking to Sasuke and blazing through hand seals for the earth release. Subterranean voyage to avoid the massive fireball flying at him. Sasuke, using what his sensei taught him to not wait for them to finish, started to move around to keep an eye out for Naruto. Naruto emerged from the ground a few meters away from where he went under. Naruto pointed his index and middle fingers at Sasuke and used the lightning release. Lightning stream nailing Sasuke in the arm, making it numb. Taking out a kunai, Sasuke waits to see what Naruto does next. Naruto, who eyes the kunai, decides to do the same and takes out one as well and charges Sasuke. Both engage in a blur of attacks that is only signified by the sparks from the kunai striking each other until Sasuke takes a slash to his chest. Sasuke pauses before he starts to push himself even more, while Naruto keeps slowly upping his speed and is getting more and more hits in on Sasuke. Sasuke blinks and starts being able to follow Naruto's movements even better, not looking a gift horse in the mouth, he goes on the offense. Naruto looks at Sasuke and notices that he now has the Sharingan, one with two and the other having one Tomo. He is brought out of his thoughts when a now even more precise Sasuke engages him at an even faster pace. Naruto ups his speed but is too late because he receives a cut to his shirt. Naruto blurs away and holds up his hand. That's enough, Sasuke, you are at a level into jutsu for sure. Sasuke was about to respond when he heard clapping to his right. Looking over, he notices his sensei and team are there clapping. That was amazing, Sasuke-kun. The ever-loyal Sakura cheered while the strange Sai had his off smile and Kakashi was smiling. Impressive, you managed to hit Naruto while he was at speed. Good job. Kakashi wasn't kidding, barely a month out of the academy genin landing a hit on of Naruto's caliber, holding back or not. It was impressive. Sasuke doesn't respond to the praise, but he had an unnoticeable blush on his cheeks and his chest was out a little more. I think congratulations are in order as well, Sasuke. You activated your Sharingan. Naruto said almost like an afterthought, freezing Sasuke in his place. Sasuke stopped the flow of chakra to his eyes and noticed that his vision was different than before, channeling chakra back into his eyes, the world slowed down and became clearer. Flashing a smile at his accomplishment, he looks around at the people smiling at him. For the first time in a long time, Sasuke didn't feel quite so lonely. Chapter 12. Preparing for the storm. Training Ground Zero. Naruto groaned while he was thrown onto his back. He was covered in mud, his hair was singed, his pants were wet, and his shirt was shredded. I'm really starting to think the old man just likes to kick my ass for fun, these fights aren't even fair. He can switch through elementals faster than I can finish one, this is absurd. Naruto wanted to crawl back in bed and just sleep for a week. For the past month, Naruto and Hiruzen have met in Training Ground Zero, otherwise known as the Hokage's private training ground. The only people who know it exists are the people the Hokage tells. But right now, Naruto wasn't thinking how much of an honor it is to be allowed to train here, rather than thinking about when the pain in his entire body would stop. Hiruzen was eyeing a prone and whimpering Naruto. He is progressing at an absurd rate. If I were to have taught him over the month, he would be on par with Kakashi, but as he stands now, I would put him at solid A rank, right about where Asuma is at. His speed is high, strength is high, Chunin at best, chakra control is excellent, and stamina is off the charts. In jutsu-wise, he is high Jonin level, having a library of ranging each element, and his wind and earth elements are his strongest for sure, having several A rank for each. Taijutsu is solid, but he mostly uses it, and with that he is even better than Hade, who is our foremost Genjutsu user. While is at level if only for the variety he knows, there is no doubt a benefit of being in a relationship with the village's rising Genjutsu mistress. He will need time for him to bridge the enormous gap that is between A rank and S rank. But I think he can do it in a year. Hiruzen was brought out of his thoughts when Naruto stood back up. Well, that was fun. What else do you want to do on our last day since tomorrow is the start of the Chunin exams? Naruto wanted him to say, you're too strong to train any longer, take the week off to rest, but he knew that wouldn't happen. I want you to rest for today and continue training tomorrow. I recommend that you find someone to spar with that can challenge you other than Guy or Kakashi, since they have their own teams to train. Hiruzen would like for Naruto to get more experience in the field, but having him out of the village nowadays would be foolish. Naruto was about to respond when the doors to the training ground opened up, revealing an old man walking with a cane. Upon further inspection, Naruto recognized him as Danzo Shimura, the old man's former rival. I believe you want someone to train the young Uzumaki, Hiruzen. Danzo asked in his usual monotone voice. Hiruzen eyed him for a second, and you will be offering to train him? Or at least spar with him? Hiruzen was willing to accept the offer. Danzo was the only person other than his students and himself that is S rank in the village, and having him spar or train with Naruto would be a huge help since he would be extra busy with the exams. I would like to spar with him for a while, then I will decide if and how I will approach helping him. Danzo wanted to train Naruto, he was the next Hokage, nobody else in the village, other than maybe Haddock would Danzo, except taking the hat over him. But he would have to know how Naruto thinks before he gives his full backing to the blonde. Naruto was watching the two old legendary ninjas talk back and forth about his training like he wasn't there or didn't have any choice in the matter. Matter of fact, not once had either of them even looked at Naruto since they started talking, it was starting to annoy him. Well, he will be here tomorrow at 6 am for you to test him, Danzo. Danzo nodded and eyed Naruto. From what Hiruzen tells me about his skills, he is at least level in everything except for his strength, which I can give to the fact that he is only 13. I wouldn't expect him to be as strong as Hiruzen was at his age, since Naruto is built more for speed rather than overwhelming strength like the monkey. He is the only person other than myself, Hiruzen and his father to master any of the vacuum, which shows that he has mastery over wind to the highest level. Unlike that lazy Sarutobi who stopped at the waterfall level. So I will help his fire element and combat experience in the meantime. All of this was concluded in a minute by the Warhawk. So I'm guessing that I don't get a say in this, right? Naruto knew it was folly, but thought to ask anyway. Seeing the old man shake his head and Danzo give him a blank stare, he nodded. Well, I will be off then, Hokage-sama, Danzo-sama. Both of the legendary ninja inclined their heads and watched the blonde walk out with a small limp. I see you have started conditioning him yourself, I didn't think you to be so direct with him. Danzo knew since Naruto's promotion that Hiruzen had his eyes on Naruto to replace him, but he didn't think he would look into actually conditioning him until he was in his late teens. With how the winds are blowing, I want him to be as strong as possible so that he can step up when I step down or when he is forced to step up. I trust that you will help him reach the next level soon. I estimate about a year, maybe more, before he hits the next level if he continues to improve at this rate. The third didn't want to start pushing the blonde this hard this soon, but it was all he could do to not only make sure Naruto survives the brewing storm, but that he can take over for him when the time is right. Yes, I will push him as hard as I can. I will also be helping his fire abilities while I am here, with clones and in conjunction with his wind. He will be capable of destroying armies himself. Like father like son, I suppose. Replied Danzo. Originally I wanted Naruto to learn from his fathers, and I have had Jiraiya ask the Toads if Minato left any of his notes with them, or if they know where they are. All they know is that Minato had several safe houses with his scrolls in them. So until we find those, we are out of luck with having Naruto learn the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. It was off-putting that nobody knows where Minato's safe houses are to get access to them, but Minato's death was anything but planned, so it's not like he needed to tell anyone where they were. Danzo stayed silent, he knew where some of the safe houses were, but until Naruto proved himself worthy in his eyes, he would keep their locations to himself. Danzo shrugged off the right side of his robe, revealing a pale arm with metal bands and locks over the entire arm. Let's see how far we have fallen, old friend Hiruzen said, blurring through seals in the speed he was known for and summoning the legendary Monkey King Enma. I see you have a different opponent today than the blonde, let's see if the month brought you back up to more respectful levels, Hiruzen. Enma said before transforming into the adamantine staff. Hiruzen just grunted and got into his stance, looking over at Danzo who was doing the same. The training ground became silent, both Danzo and Hiruzen tensed before blurring towards each other. While the multiple Sharingan in Danzo's right arm were sealed, he still had enormous strength in his arm, allowing him to keep up with Hiruzen. Hiruzen was only testing the water with it. Danzo saw his opportunity and slapped the staff away with his right arm and channeled wind chakra to his arm and used the wind release slash. This, along with his right arm's enhanced abilities, made the already powerful even stronger. Hiruzen, knowing the approaching him, went through seals himself before stopping mid-seal and starting anew, making the earth release. Earth-style wall. The resulting wall was almost sliced into gravel by Danzo's and was blown apart by Hiruzen's own wind, the wind release. Great Gale Palm. The already damaged wall was blown apart by Hiruzen's and sending wind-enhanced shrapnel at Danzo. Hiruzen blurred towards Danzo, almost keeping up with him to attack Danzo. Danzo was nailed by huge pieces of earth, causing him to pop into smoke, showing that he was a shadow clone. Hiruzen stretched his senses trying to find the Yami no Shinobi. Danzo, who was tunneling underground, was planning his next form of attack. Using his prowess with earth manipulation, Danzo created an earth release. Shadow clone, while underground. Hiruzen was trying to sense Danzo, he felt a small spike in earth chakra under him, he was about to destroy the ground when Danzo shot up behind him with a kunai that was enhanced with wind chakra. Hiruzen twirled his staff in his arms to gain momentum. When Danzo charged in, Hiruzen acted quickly and faked a wide swing, instead extending his staff into Danzo's skull, turning it into mud. Danzo chose that moment to appear directly under Hiruzen with another wind-enhanced kunai and slashed it at Hiruzen, getting a cut on his lower stomach. Hiruzen was idle either, however, and slammed his staff into Danzo's knee, knocking him to one knee, both went through the seal simultaneously. Hiruzen, anticipating the wind, used his fire release. Dragon flame bomb that engulfed almost half of the entire training ground. Danzo had no options other than to cancel his and soften the ground under him to avoid the enormous fire. Hiruzen fed the more chakra, knowing that his rival went underground to avoid it. But the enhanced chakra the fire dragon became white hot and started to heat the entire training ground. The ground under the area the fire was encompassing was starting to become extremely hot and was turning to molten tar from the fire. Danzo was using his years of experience with earth chakra to keep the ground around him from becoming hot. Hiruzen decided to cut and went through seals to do the earth release. Explosive core causing Danzo to be launched from the ground. Using speed that only those of S rank could follow, Hiruzen launched forward as his was taking effect and landed a devastating combo on Danzo while he was barely a foot out of the ground, launching him to the other side of the room. While Danzo was flying to the other side of the room, Hiruzen used a flawless body flicker to blur past the tumbling. Using the master of ninjutsu that still hasn't been surpassed till this day, Hiruzen weaved through hand seal's mid-body flicker to use the water release. Water trumpet immediately after appearing in front of. Danzo was blasted with a large torrent of pressurized water to the back, knocking the wind out of him. Using his decades of battle experience, he managed to switch with a piece of rubble on the other side of the training area as he was hit. "Well my friend, it seems that I will take this fight. If you weren't keeping that arm sealed you could probably keep up with me or even match me," Hiruzen said while nodding his head. He might have gone about 70% in that little exchange. He didn't use many ninjutsu, or it was more of a spurt to stretch his legs against someone faster and more experienced than Naruto. The blonde was good, but he was only about a third as good as Hiruzen. While not knowing exactly how strong Danzo was with all the implanted eyes, Hiruzen knew that Danzo was still inferior to himself, but a good challenge. "Yes, despite the blow to my pride, I have to say it my strongest with the arm. I would only push you, not be capable of actually beating you." Danzo hated that even after all these years he was still weaker than Hiruzen, but both were only a fraction of what they were 10 years ago. "What have you found out with Suna?" Hiruzen was worried about their sandy allies. Not only were they really quiet, but their shinobi were disappearing on that border as well. "I haven't gotten that much intel other than they have a large amount of movement, possibly preparation for something big." "What has Jiraiya found with Orochimaru?" questioned Danzo. He was a little embarrassed that his roots didn't learn that much in Suna. "He has heard the talk of an invasion. He is suspecting that they will attack during the finals to kill me. Jiraiya and myself have a plan for that, but he is suspecting that Suna is allying with Orochimaru. If this is true it will be the start of yet another war." Hiruzen was honestly tired of war. This would be his fourth one. It sickened him how many deaths were caused by a meaningless feud. "If that is the case we will have some characters to worry about. They have the and the honored siblings both S rank, adding their Kage, they match us in S rank shinobi. But Naruto can destroy the Ichibi, so we will have to make sure that he faces him or have Tenzo close by." Danzo was grateful that Orochimaru succeeded in creating at least one wood release user in his experiments, otherwise they would have to rely on Naruto to kill the himself to suppress it with Shisui's eye. "Yes, that will pose a problem, however we have gotten roughly 60% of our shinobi and 80% of our Anbu in the village. We will have numbers hopefully, but who knows how many places Orochimaru has gathered to destroy us." To this day Hiruzen doesn't regret anything more than letting Orochimaru live. Should he have killed him this whole situation wouldn't be happening. "I will have some root squads waiting in the surrounding towns so as to flank the invasion force from behind. If that is all I would like to make a trip to my hot spring. You didn't pull that many punches, neither did Enma," Danzo said with a light tone. The only person that made Danzo lighten up was Hiruzen. Despite them being rivals and not seeing eye to eye on a lot of things, they were still the closest of friends and there wasn't anyone that the other trusted more. "It seems that you have gotten frail in that basement then, huh, Danzo?" A smirking Hiruzen called to the retreating Danzo who didn't even grace it with a response. Hiruzen looked over the almost destroyed training ground. He went through 5 seals and touched the ground. A seal appeared across the entire ground, fixing the entire area to look like nothing even happened. The seal used was made by the second Hokage. It was a mix of time, space and barrier. The entire area was inside of a barrier that had time-space seals covering it. When the seals were activated, the base returned to its original state. It was the genius work of the second Hokage that was only surpassed by the late fourth Hokage. Hiruzen looked around and nodded at the refurbished training ground before leaving to go to his own private hot spring. He wouldn't tell Danzo though. Konoha Market District. Kurenai was doing some shopping. She needed to resupply on her groceries and shinobi supplies. As she was about to enter the Higurashi weapons shop, she felt a spike in chakra a few meters to her south. Deciding that the potential threat was more important, she headed towards the source of the disturbance. The cause of the disturbance was none other than Temari, who was walking towards the hotel that her team were staying in when a small kid ran into her. The small boy was happy, far too happy for her liking since he was a tree-hugging scumbag. "Watch it, brat, or I might turn you to shreds," threatened Temari. She wasn't kidding either. With her now mastery of her element and expert use of her war fan, she could destroy boulders with a single swing. Sorry lady, I was just leaving." Konohamaru stuttered out. He was terrified of the blonde girl. She was putting out some scary vibes that he wasn't used to. Kurenai, who landed on the rooftop by the altercation between a kunoichi and the boy that hangs around Naruto whenever he gets the chance. She was able to feel the small amount of killing intent coming from the girl and decided to intervene. Kurenai appeared in between Konohamaru and Temari with his hands up. "Now let's stop this before it gets out of hand, okay?" Kurenai said in her nicest tone, hoping to ease Konohamaru's near-trembling form and calm the infuriated kunoichi. Konohamaru was instantly calmed by the appearance of the boss's girlfriend. She was nice and he had seen her spar with Naruto Nai-chan before, so Konohamaru knew she was strong. With renewed courage, Konohamaru stepped forward. "Kurenai Ni-chan, this girl was about to attack me just for running into her, even after I apologized." Temari blocked out everything after the boy said Ni-chan. Ni-chan. She was reminded of how horrible of a Ni-chan she was to her baby brother. Her killing intent spiked at the two in front of her. Her baby brother was taken from her, so she would take the kunoichi from her. Before she could do anything, a hand grabbed her shoulder. Temari was about to remove the arm when she noticed that it was her sensei. "Temari, that's enough, don't cause an incident over something so small. I apologize for my student, have a good day." Baki said before both of them were gone in a whirlwind of wind. "Konohamaru-kun, I think that you should stay away from foreign shinobi until the exams are over, okay?" Kurenai didn't know why that girl was so infuriated by them, but it didn't bode well for village relations. "I will, where's the boss? I haven't seen him in almost a month. When I asked Jiji, he said that Naruto was doing very important training, but I haven't seen him in any of the training grounds." Konohamaru and his friends had all but forced Abizo to help them find Naruto with no luck. "I haven't seen him that much myself this week, why don't we go yell at him for ignoring us?" Kurenai asked with a smile. She adored the little Sarutobi who happened to look at Naruto with something akin to hero worship. Konohamaru got a huge grin on his face at the thought of bothering his boss until he trained him. Naruto's apartment. Naruto was passed out on his bed in only some baggy pants. He barely managed to get himself through the shower and make it to the bed before passing out roughly 2 hours ago. He was brought out of his much-needed rest when he heard someone knock on the door. He got up and walked to the door with a groan. Opening the door, he was welcomed to the side of his girlfriend and his little subordinate surrogate little brother. Naruto waved them both and, not noticing the blush on Kurenai's face at seeing Naruto half-naked. Konohamaru and Kurenai both explained what happened with the kunoichi and were watching Naruto think things over with a frown. "That is unsettling. So she seemed very aggressive over something like that, huh? Well, good job Nai-chan for saving little Saru." Kurenai nodded with a smile. Naruto looked over to Konohamaru. "You and I will have to do some work on your people skills. You could have caused an incident before the exams even started. For the time being, I think you should stay away from all the foreign shinobi. I don't think any of them will be too friendly." Konohamaru nodded, already hearing the same thing from his Ni-chan. Deciding to get to the real reason he came. "So boss, what kind of training were you doing? How come you didn't tell me or let me watch, boss?" Even if he couldn't participate, Konohamaru would have loved to watch Naruto train or even spar with someone on his level. "Sorry Saru, but I was training in some secret stuff, next time I will take you, I promise." Naruto was sorry, he liked spending time with Konohamaru. Ever since Naruto met the kid a few months ago in the Hokage's office, he liked him, he was like he was when he was younger. Konohamaru had a huge grin on his face at the promise. "Awesome. Well, I have to go. I promised Abizo-sensei I would meet him at the training ground at once, bye." Kurenai watched the young Sarutobi leave. When the door closed, she grabbed the still half-asleep blonde and pulled him into a kiss. Naruto was caught off guard for a second before returning the kiss in full. Both were just exploring each other with their tongues before Naruto pulled back for air. "Sorry, I have been busy, what have you been doing for the past week?" Kurenai nodded her head, getting into her reprimanding mood. "It will take more than just a sorry, mister. I have only seen you twice in the last month. What have you been doing?" Kurenai wasn't that angry, but if she pretended she was, Naruto would answer much faster. "Starting to sweat at his less than happy girlfriend. I was training with the Hokage, alright. It is supposed to be a secret that we were training together. And I will continue to train until the finals for the Chunin exams." Naruto replied sadly. He wasn't going to see Kurenai that much over this next month either. Kurenai frowned. "Why all this training, why is the Hokage personally training you?" "We have all but confirmed that during the finals there will be an invasion," Naruto said, dropping the bomb. Kurenai froze. Invasion meant war, this meant another war was about to start. I need to start upping my training, will you have time to train with me over the next month? Kurenai only really liked training with Naruto, since he was better than her at almost everything she could go all out. Naruto shook his head, sorry Nai-chan, but I think this next month will be even worse. I think you should train with Kakashi-sensei's team. He was talking about the Kunoichi on his team being a fangirl, maybe when they get the month off you can help her before you train with Kakashi. Or you can see if Mika will train with you, I'm sure she would if you found her. Naruto said to the still frowning. I will find Kakashi tomorrow after the first test starts. Now I was about to shop when I found Konohamaru, and I know you are tired, so I will see you tomorrow after we both are done training. Kurenai leaned in and captured Naruto in another kiss before leaving. Next day. Hokage's office. Hiruzen called Naruto to come by the office at his earliest convenience after his training with Danzo. Naruto was still sore from the workout that Danzo made him go through, not to mention his throat from all the fire he practiced. Thank you for coming by Naruto-kun. I have some things I want you to know, I let the others know earlier, but you passed out so I will tell you now. I am making you the proctor of the third test. I want someone who knows exactly what's going to happen to be on the arena floor, and you are my choice. Hiruzen didn't say that other than Kakashi and Guy by the time the month was over, there wouldn't be a stronger Naruto outside of the Anbu. Okay, you want me on the ground when shit hits the fan then. By the way, where is I would have sensed him if he were here, but I haven't. Inquiring Naruto, he was worried that if he could hide this well, then they were in trouble. He isn't attending the exam this year, I think he is still back in Suna. I want you to keep an eye out and you sense his sharp ink as he tries to show up early. If you sense him, tell either myself or Danzo as soon as you can. Told Hiruzen, Naruto nodded to his Hokage. Naruto thought for a moment before speaking up. Actually I think something is going on with the Sunanin, one of the Kunoichi was about to attack Seru for bumping into her. Hiruzen frowned. That is troubling, thank you for helping him if you did. And I find it strange that you call him Seru, what made you call him that? Hiruzen was curious as to why Naruto gave his grandson the same nickname he was given by his sensei. It is short and fits him, plus it makes me laugh calling him monkey all the time. Laughing at Naruto, he liked little Konohamaru, and if it was possible he wouldn't mind being his sensei when the time came. That is what my sensei said when he gave me the same name. Grumbled Hiruzen, the second loved teasing Hiruzen, and calling him monkey in public was one of his favorites. Finding that they didn't have anything else to say, Hiruzen dismissed Naruto so he could get back to his paperwork. 5 days later. Forest of Death. Central Tower. After what was a clusterfuck of a second task. In which not only did the Snake Sannin himself sneak in, but he attacked and marked Sasuke with the curse seal. Temari and her brother showed how ruthless they were with their teammate Shira, who was a Taijutsu prodigy who, like Rock Lee, was unable to use ninjutsu and Naruto was standing at attention behind the Hokage with all the others in the arena for the preliminaries, he was in his standard Jonin attire, so as not to be confused with the hopefuls in front of him. Naruto heard that the third was about to tell them the rules for the prelims and decided to step in. If I may Hokage-sama, I will explain the rules since I am the proctor. Hiruzen nodded and walked to the side. Okay, the screen behind me will randomly go through names and the two on the screen will be the ones to fight, it doesn't matter who they are, foreigner, family, teammate or otherwise, if your name is up there you will fight. Killing is allowed, but if I call the match, stop fighting. Naruto flared his chakra at the end to get the point across, he frowned when the Kunoichi only twitched. Now let's begin. And? Same as canon Shira instead of Gaara and Sai instead of Naruto. Plus no team guy otherwise the same. This will be the matchups for the finals. Naruto read out the finals matched. Sai vs Kankuro. Sasuke vs Shira. Temari vs Shikamaru. Shino vs Dosu. Are there any questions? No. Good, you will have 1 month to prepare for the finals, good luck. Naruto said to the remaining hopefuls who started to leave. Naruto made his way up to the Hokage. Naruto-kun, I have some news for you, instead of you spending the month with Danzo, Jiraiya got back a little early and you will be meeting him in training ground 0 at the same time, but don't tell anyone he is here no matter what. Hiruzen said the last part seriously which made Naruto stand up straighter and nod. Good, get out of here. I want you to pass by when you can during the month to give reports on your training and so that I can update you on plans and come by the day before the finals. Dismissed. Naruto nodded before he disappeared with the use of the body flicker jutsu. Next day. Training ground 0. Naruto arrived at the training ground early so he could stretch and get warmed up for the no doubt intense training he would be doing with the Toad Sage. It's good to see you, Brad, how have you been? Jiraiya asked with more enthusiasm than was necessary at 6 in the morning. Naruto frowned, calm it down sensei, it's too early for yelling and I am doing fine, a lot of training for you. Jiraiya shrugged. Now I was instructed to help you with your fire element, which will be easy, and other than that kick your ass every day so you will gain experience. Sound good?" Naruto's eyes widened and he was frozen in place. He never thought Jiraiya would take training this seriously like Danzo and the third. All of them say that if he loses a fight, he is just gaining experience on how not to fail the next time, even though he always loses. Naruto got into his stance before frowning. This was going to be a fun month. Chapter 13. Invasion. We have reached the finals of the Kanon Chunin exams. Naruto moaned in pain as he was thrown back. "Man sensei, you could let me get in a few hits," groaned Naruto. "Ah, shut up you baby, you have definitely improved your taijutsu. I want to finish and get some rest, tomorrow is going to be a long day." Instructing Jiraiya while pointing to Naruto's clones, Jiraiya didn't have anything left to say, so he flickered away. It was the day before the finals. Naruto and Jiraiya managed to get in some last-minute sparring. For Naruto the past month has been very beneficial, he learned or was learning a new air rank. Jiraiya finally deemed him worthy, or finally remembered, to teach him the Rasengan. The spiraling sphere was the pinnacle of shape manipulation. Naruto learned that his father intended to add his affinity to the Rasengan, however he never managed to. Naruto has 15 clones putting the final touches on step 3, so far he can hold it for 10 seconds before it destabilized. So far Naruto learned one thing about the Rasengan, and that he was a long way off from adding his wind affinity to the. Naruto has made good progress on his fire manipulation. Since his training started with Jiraiya, he learned a few non-beyond B rank, but he liked adding to his arsenal. During the month like he thought, he has had very little time to spend with Kurenai, much to his frustration. He barely had time to do anything other than train and sleep. Right now Naruto was trying to force himself to move, but Jiraiya hit nature with force nature. Sometimes literally. Naruto groaned again. "Sensei beat the shit of me, then left me here. What a dick. I need to get up and go see Nai-chan. No doubt she will be pissed that I haven't tried to see her, not like it's my fault sensei is such a slave driver. Damn it, and not only that, but tomorrow is pretty much the beginning of a war. Fuck me, war is exhausting." Naruto just laid there. Adapting to the pain. Hokage's office. Hiruzen was reading over Jiraiya's report on Naruto's training. He was pleased that Naruto was improving so rapidly. Hiruzen and Danzo have been working on getting their ninja into position. Danzo has 3 squads of his route waiting outside of the village to attack the invaders from behind. All of the shinobi were in the village, all of the Jonin and Chunin knew what to expect, and the genin were given evacuation orders in case something happened. While they didn't know exactly when the attack was going to happen, Hiruzen assumed that it was going to be during the finals. After all, Orochimaru made it a point to mark Sasuke with his curse seal, so chances are he was interested in seeing how Sasuke progressed. The biggest surprise was that he hasn't been spotted the entire time. Tiger and Naruto were given orders to put them at the top of their lists should he surface. It wasn't the best plan, but with the limited intel that they have, it was the best they could work with. Tomorrow was going to get ugly, maybe it was the Kami no Shinobi in him, but Hiruzen's blood was pumping with anticipation. Undisclosed location. With Danzo. Danzo looked over the remaining 20 shinobi, the rest were in position outside the village. Danzo just finished telling them Hiruzen's plan, foolish as it was the best they could do. Unfortunately, Danzo wasn't going to be able to use his right arm to its full capacity tomorrow. He was only going to be able to use the arm not to unseal the Sharingan inside, even though it would be helpful, it would cause too much trouble for himself and Hiruzen if word got out about it. Danzo was reading over a report on the Uchiha's training. Kakashi taught him the Chidori, that was what he had been hoping for. Now the Uchiha was getting stronger, he wished that Itachi would have allowed him to put Sasuke under his care. But the Haddock wasn't doing a terrible job training him, so it wasn't that bad. The whirl of ink let him know that someone appeared in front of him. Danzo-sama. "I have been watching the other rookie teams, teammate has made excellent progress, the Hyuga heiress has made progress with her confidence under the care of Mitarashi-san. The Inuzuka and Aburam are excelling under their parents as expected. Team 10 however has barely put any more effort into training. The Yamanaka trains with her father normally as does the Akimichi, but they don't train with the Sarutobi. The Nara is the only one who trains with the Sarutobi, but it is mostly strategy. Team 7 has been focusing on teamwork, the Haruno doesn't do very much training, so it is usually myself and Sasuke, who is improving rapidly ever since Naruto helped him unlock his Sharingan," reported Sai emotionlessly. Danzo stayed quiet, he was pleased with Team 8, he wasn't surprised with Team 10, since Hiruzen's son is quite lazy. Kakashi unfortunately isn't producing as good of results as his first team, but it wasn't entirely his fault, Sai was already strong thanks to his training en route. Sasuke is good for his age, but is no Naruto, and the pink-haired girl that Danzo refuses to acknowledge is an average genin to focus on her love life. She has potential, but until she becomes serious Danzo won't care what happens to her as she is dead weight. "Dismissed," commanded Danzo. Miles away from Konoha. With the Kazekage. Rasa was looking over his reports and both of his children and Shira have made it to the finals. Which was good, but he was going to promote them regardless and the exam was irrelevant to him. He was waiting in his tent. Orochimaru wanted to meet him today to look over the final plans. He should be here any second. As if on cue the snake Sannin walked in with his usual smirk that Rasa was sure was stuck on his face. "Good to see you, Rasa. I only want one thing tomorrow before the invasion. I want you to allow Sasuke-kun his chance to fight, I want to see how he has progressed," said Orochimaru. He wants to know how his future vessel has progressed. Rasa frowned. "Very well, as soon as his fight has shown enough of his skills against Shira, I will start the invasion." Rasa was originally going to start it when everyone was in position and when Orochimaru's little lapdog started over the audience. But an extra bit of time was inconsequential. "How will you deal with the third?" asked Rasa. He didn't want to admit it, but he wasn't sure if he could walk away from a fight with the Kami no Shinobi. He wanted Orochimaru to fight the third that way, hopefully, they would kill each other. Orochimaru smirked, "I will deal with my sensei, I have a plan for him. All I need is for you to have my bodyguards near him so I can trap him in my barrier." Rasa nodded, "Is that everything?" asked Rasa, done with this conversation, whether or not the snake was. Orochimaru didn't say anything, he just slithered away. Rasa frowned, "If I didn't need him I would kill him right now. Just wait for Orochimaru, after this invasion, if you are still alive, I will kill you myself," swore Rasa. He normally would brood for a while over the upcoming invasion, but he has a lot of reports to go over before tomorrow. Day of the finals. Chunin exam arena. Naruto looked up to the stands from the arena floor with a blank face, he just wasn't in the mood to be excited with everything that was going to happen. Naruto looked over to the arena hall where the genin were walking to the middle of the field. The shinobi were looking around while the one with the puppet was smirking, the other boy looked like he was bored and the girl looked ready to kill. He would have to keep an eye on her. Naruto noticed that the Uchiha wasn't here yet, typical of Kakashi to be late. Naruto sighed and looked up to the third, the old man gave a nod to go ahead and start. Naruto cleared his throat, "Welcome to the Konoha Chunin exam finals. The first match will be with Sai of Konoha and Kankuro of Suna, everyone else goes up to the viewing area," said Naruto. The genin left leaving only the two fighters and Naruto. "The rules are the same as the prelims, any questions?" Both of the genin shook their heads. "Begin," shouted Naruto. Sai wasted no time and took out his scroll. Kankuro took Karasu off his back to prepare for the oncoming assault. Page booth. Rasa leaned forward, he was curious of his son's skills after being trained by old lady Chio. "I don't think that kid will stand much of a chance against my son, but good luck to you," said Rasa without really meaning it. The third looks over to him for a moment and holds back a grin, "That wouldn't be appropriate. We will see, won't we?" the third said. Arena floor. Kankuro was having a tough time with Sai, not only was he also a long-range fighter like himself, but his abilities were something he had never seen before. Karasu was going in for a stab on Sai's neck, only for an ink snake to wrap around it and start to squeeze the puppet. While the puppet was being occupied, an ink lion was charging Kankuro, who was finding it very difficult to operate and dodge the lion simultaneously. He used one of Chio's techniques and manipulated a kunai from his pocket and launched it forward at the lion, stabbing it between the eyes. Now after being given some breathing room he was able to break free from the snake's bindings. Sai looked on blankly as the bladed puppet charged him, as it got close he used the body flicker jutsu to charge into Kankuro's guard. Kankuro ducked under a kick and jumped back only for Sai to follow. The pale ninja took out a handful of shuriken and tossed them at Kankuro's legs. The sand ninja jumped over the shuriken out of reflex right as a pair of ink snakes jumped at him mid-air. With nothing left to use mid-air, Kankuro was trapped by the ink snakes. Sai let out a breath that went better than expected. "I surrender," called Kankuro. Naruto went forward and nodded, "Winner." Sai have announced Naruto to the now roaring crowd. Page booth. The third wanted to laugh, he really did, but that would be inappropriate. "Good match, Kazekage Dono," muttered the third. He wasn't replied to as the Kazekage just grunted. It was obvious to Rasa that his son was holding back so he could hide his puppet secrets for the invasion. Before realizing that the Uchiha was up next. "This is the fight everybody wants to see, the last Uchiha. I don't see the hype myself, they were good but not unbeatable, their status is proof of that," Rasa said, managing to stay in a polite tone while insulting one of the most prestigious clans in the nations. The third wanted to agree, he really did, but that would be inappropriate. So he just looked on as the Uchiha and Kakashi arrived in a swirl of leaves, making an entrance like an invasion wasn't about to happen. Stupid haddock. Arena floor. Naruto sighed when Kakashi and Sasuke arrived with a swirl of leaves. Does he not remember what is going to happen at any moment? It's like Kakashi doesn't give a shit any other situation and I wouldn't give a shit, but this is important, damn it, arrive on time and get into position, jackass. Through Naruto, he eyed Kakashi for a second before shaking his head. I hope we aren't too late, right? He's not disqualified, is he? Asked a nervous Kakashi. Naruto shook his head. No, I doubt if you would have arrived 30 minutes late he would be disqualified, they all want to see him fight, Sasuke smirked, for whatever reason. Finished Naruto, making Sasuke deflated. Naruto clears his throat again. Now, we have Sasuke Uchiha of Konoha against Shira of Suna. The cheers nearly shook the arena. The crowd needed to calm down, they were entirely too excited in Naruto's opinion. Sasuke and Shira got into a stance. You going down, loser, I'm top dog around here. Sasuke said smoothly, making the girls in the audience swoon. The moment would have been cool if, man, is it hot in here or is it just me? That was amazing, Sasuke-kun. You are so cool. How about you start fighting? Naruto said while fanning himself before he turned deadpan toward the end. Most of the audience laughed while Sasuke grumbled. Can we fight yet? Asked a bored Shira. Yes. Yelled Sasuke before he charged into Sharingan blazing. Shira readied himself, he took in a breath and attacked Sasuke with everything he had. Sasuke was taken off guard at the sheer speed that the Chunin had, but shrugged it off not a moment later and engaged Shira into jutsu. Shira was clearly the superior in jutsu, the only reason that Sasuke hasn't lost was that he was about as fast and possessed a Sharingan to compensate for his skill. Shira landed a hard punch to Uchiha's cheek, making him fly back. Sasuke corrected himself mid-air and landed on his feet. As he landed he finished the seals for the fire release. Grand Fireball Jutsu. Shira was greeted by the sight of an enormous fireball flying at him at a speed that shouldn't be possible for a fireball of that size. Shira did the only thing he could, and that was to run out of the way. This was one of the times he cursed the fact that he was unable to use ninjutsu. Shira charged back in but was nailed in the face by a kick from the last Uchiha. He shook his head and went back into the fight. Shira attacked high as a distraction to change on a dime to sweep the legs. Sasuke's eyes anticipated the movement and he jumped up to avoid the sweep. Shira repressed a grin, he wanted to jump. While he was mid-air he used one of his techniques, anticipated delivery. This is Shira's very own technique. Using the force and the speed he delivered his punch, it launched a condensed blast of wind that nailed Sasuke in the stomach. To a spectator the punch didn't look like it was going to do anything, but made them anticipate what was going to happen, hence the name. Everyone watching was stunned at the level of skill and jutsu the Chunin had. Two green-wearing ninja were looking at the fight with fire in their eyes at the sight of another youthful jutsu user. Page Booth. Rasa was impressed with Shira's abilities, he never expected the kid to push the Uchiha, but he wouldn't look a gift horse in the eye. That Shira boy is quite talented, Kazekage Dono. The third said to the wind shadow. Rasa nodded his head, looking over the field he decided that it was enough and signaled for the invasion to start when Shira landed the next decisive blow. All the ninja who knew the signal tensed, this was it. Arena floor. Unaware of the coming invasion Sasuke doubles over after being nailed in the gut by a condensed blast of wind. Shira wasn't going to waste time and took out a kunai and charged. As he was about to stab the Uchiha in the neck Naruto appeared and grabbed his wrist. That's enough. Winner. Shira of Suna. Announced Naruto, he was surprised that nobody was clapping. Sure, the Uchiha lost, but it was still a good fight. That's when he felt his chakra be invaded and feathers started to fall in his vision. Noticing that he was under the influence of a hell he knew the himself, Naruto broke the and observed the now raging battle in the stadium. In the stands the shinobi of and up were engaging, while the genin were moving the civilians out of the line of fire. Naruto was shocked at the explosion in the cage booth and that the Kazekage was jumping down and crushed too with his gold dust. So it was like that, Suna was against them as well. Naruto leaned back from the strike that Shira tried to hit him with. Naruto sighed and knocked the kid out and jumped away after leaving a clone to restrain him and another take Sasuke to safety. Naruto got 30 yards away before an Odo ninja jumped in front of him. Look at what I found here, the little Uzumaki. The man taunted. Naruto grew angry, it was one of the things that could set Naruto off, he was average height for his age, damn it. Naruto wasted no time and charged in, the Odo raised his hand to strike, but Naruto ducked under it and moved his arm in a stabbing motion before it popped into existence and Naruto rammed it into the Odo ninja's stomach. The man grunted for a second before falling to the ground dead. Naruto sighed, he really didn't like to kill, but he would if he had to, and right now it was a necessity. Stadium rooftop. A third was grabbed from behind and taken to the rooftop by someone from behind him, while 4 guards went to set up a barrier. The third Hokage looked at the 4 about to use a barrier and broke from the hold with monster strength that shouldn't belong to an old man and charged a fat guard with speed the Odo nin could dream of following before the third severed his head with a kunai. Orochimaru cursed, not only was the barrier plan ruined but his guard was dead, this wasn't turning out like he wanted at all. The rest of the guards were engaged by Anbu, who would have made quick work of them before they decided to use their cure seals. The Anbu were smart enough to lead them away from the roof to allow the two legends to continue. Deciding to go with it, Orochimaru puts the smirk back on his face. "Well sensei, does this anger you? Seeing your home being brought to its knees and on the precipice of destruction?" mocked Orochimaru. The snake Sannin was right too. The shinobi had small fight spreading across the entire village, while multiple snakes attacked from outside the border. The third hopes that Naruto takes care of them with the toads soon. "I'm not worried about Rachi," the third said plainly. Orochimaru raised an eyebrow. Sarutobi never called him that, only one person did. The third removed his robes and hat to reveal Jiraiya, who was grinning. "Jiraiya?" hissed Orochimaru, clearly infuriated. That made Jiraiya smirk before readying himself for combat. He had Ma and Pa ready to summon at a moment's notice, but he would have to wait for an opening to gather the chakra for them. "Sensei and I knew you would come for him, so I told him I would take his place so I could kill you myself," Jiraiya said seriously, getting into his stance and waiting to begin. Orochimaru had pure hatred in his eyes. Not only was Sensei not here, not only were his guards most likely dead, but he was going to have to fight Jiraiya. This was completely wrong. He was supposed to fight Sensei, so he could kill him after he made the monkey watch as his village burned to the ground. Now he would have to fight the fool. Main village area. Naruto was making his way towards the front of the village so as to get into position to deal with the snakes with his toad summons. Jiraiya Sensei was going to be occupied with the snake Sannin, so it was up to him. Naruto dodged a sudden kunai that would have embedded into his skull and noticed it was tossed by a Chunin with a few friends. Naruto smirked. "What shall I do, for I am outnumbered?" mocked Naruto before he brought his hands into the seal for the shadow clone jutsu. The village was littered with over 24 clones to match the number of his ambushers. The Narutos and Chunin charged each other, engaging in a small war of their own. Naruto felt some of his clones get killed easily. He was growing frustrated. Not only were the Chunin annoying, but they had surprisingly good teamwork. Naruto noticed that he was about to be shredded by a wind and used the earth release. Double decapitation jutsu so as to go underground to move to the nearest Chunin ninja. Naruto grabbed his leg with a firm hand and pulled him underground. Naruto gutted the nin as he was being pulled under. Convenient. Though Naruto pulled the nin under and killed him, he saved them the burial costs. Naruto appeared behind the Suna shinobi who were fighting his clones, taking a second to go through some seals he used in the fire release. Running fire jutsu. This created a wide stream of fire that didn't go higher than the enemy's knees. A clone of Naruto saw the coming and used 2 seals for the earth release. Swamp of the underworld. Trapping almost half of the ninjas and pulling them in the swamp before being killed by the fire. 6 of the 25 were left after engaging his clones and he used. Naruto readied him and waited for the first person to charge in. Naruto suddenly jumped as a huge pair of metal jaws tried to bite him in half. He looked to see that one of the Suna shinobi, most likely the Jonin in the back, probably put several traps underground on the earth. Naruto would have to be careful. Naruto mid-air was hit by a wind technique that sliced into his left arm badly. When he landed on the ground he was forced to constantly dodge and block with his sword. Naruto was now realizing that all of the ninja were most likely based on their speed. Knowing that he was outmatched for the time being, he stayed on the defense waiting for a moment to strike or when his arm would be usable again, as taking its time to heal today. One of the Suna shinobi broke off from the group onslaught and went through seals of his own. As he was about to finish, an Anbu appeared behind him and severed his head before he had a moment to respond. The Anbu noticed that Naruto was being beaten into a corner and had no real options with a messed up arm. The Anbu charged into the fray to help out the blonde. Naruto ducked under a kick, rolled from it and was hit by a shuriken in the leg. "This is just unfair. Why do I have to fight so many at once?" So that's what it feels like to be outnumbered constantly. Though Naruto had new respect for people who lasted against his clones for long periods of time. Naruto blocked 3 kunai flying at him and sidestepped a punch and swung him as fast as he could and sliced the Suna man's arm off. Suna shinobi screamed in pain but was silenced when Naruto stabbed him in the chest. The Suna ninja were infuriated by another casualty caused by the blonde. 2 of the ninja were going through seals to finish this. They were hit in the back by a barrage of kunai. The 2 ninja cried out in pain, causing the rest to look to see what was wrong. An Anbu appeared behind the now turned around Chunin and stabbed one in the back, killing him instantly. The last one that was uninjured let out a battle cry before charging the Anbu. Naruto appeared in between the 2 ninjas with his right arm extended with a spiraling ball of pure chakra in it and plunged it right in the ninja's chest, grinding him to a bloody mess. Rasengan, wow, I never thought it would do that, or at least hoped it wouldn't. How gross. Naruto commented after seeing the effects of his newest. Naruto was brought out of his musing when he felt a sensation on his left arm. Looking over he saw that the Anbu was healing his arm. Naruto looked over the Anbu for a minute and smiled. I almost didn't recognize you, Toshiro, but bright white hair isn't that common. Naruto started to move his left arm without much pain. The combination of the Kyuubi's healing and the Anbu's healing sped up the process to be even faster than normal. Thanks Anbu-san. Naruto said, even though he wanted to hug his friend that he has barely seen in the past 2 years. The Anbu nodded and patted Naruto on the back before disappearing. No, you're welcome or don't mention it, man. Toshiro, you're still a douche, huh? Naruto shook his head to get back in the fight, he could lose focus right now. But Hiruzen was showing the invasion force why he was not to be messed with, moving faster than most could keep up with, striking harder than most could deal with. The third Hokage was cutting through the enemy like a hot knife in butter. Hiruzen twirled his legendary staff before disappearing and reappearing in front of two Odonin, lashing out with his staff. He knocked one off his feet and broke the other's collarbone. The one on the ground was about to get up when he noticed it was the third Hokage standing above him with the legendary adamantine staff. The Odonin couldn't even scream out before his skull was crushed by the third Hokage. Hiruzen was looking around for someone too strong to leave to his ninja to fight. He hadn't seen the honored siblings yet, nor the Kazekage. Hiruzen sped off to another part of the village, hoping to find one of them. While Hiruzen was running through the village, he noticed that a group of Chunin ninja were about to ambush a genin escorting a group of civilians. He changed direction to intercept the group before they could make it to the genin. The Chunin all jumped back to avoid whoever just landed in front of them. When the dust cleared, they saw it was the legendary Kami no Shinobi. All of the Chunin gulped. He was supposed to be fighting the Snake Sannin, not in the battlefield. Hiruzen spared them no words and charged in. He lashed out with Enma on the closest ninja, who dodged the first strike and went to retaliate but was nailed in the stomach, knocking the wind out of him. Hiruzen would have finished the job but was forced to dodge several winds. Flying through seals himself, Hiruzen used a fire release. Intelligent hard work, firing a medium-sized fireball towards the group of Chunin ninja who easily dodged it. Hiruzen was going through more seals as the second part of the event happened and the fireball exploded and created a huge firestorm. Finishing his seals, Hiruzen used the wind release. Expanding tornado. Releasing the palm-sized tornado from his hand towards the epicenter of the fire, creating a massive tornado of fire that burned the Chunin ninja to ashes. Hiruzen jumped off to continue his search for the S-rank Chunin ninja. A spectating Odo ninja with round glasses watched a Kami no Shinobi kill almost a dozen without breaking a sweat. This is bad, Orochimaru-sama was supposed to deal with the Hokage. I'm afraid that other than him nobody here will be able to kill the third. I will have to find Orochimaru-sama. If he isn't here, that means something messed with his plans and he couldn't trap the Hokage. The spectacle-wearing Odo ninja thought before jumping off towards the arena rooftop where explosions could be seen. Of Kakashi and Guy. The copy ninja and the blue beast were working with flawless teamwork in the stadium. Kakashi had his Sharingan active and was cutting through the Odo and Chunin ninja before they could react. While Guy was picking apart the enemy with practiced ease, not even bothering to open a gate yet. Kakashi replaced himself with a piece of rubble to avoid the earth that was about to crush him. Kakashi went through 3 seals for his lightning blade, using the enormous speed boost for he started to cut through more of the Odo and Chunin ninja in the arena. Guy, who could see what his rival was doing, smirked. He wouldn't fall behind his rival, his flames of youth would never allow it. Guy collected himself and charged in with almost double the speed and was a blur to everyone besides the elite ninja who were there. Guy kicked a Chunin ninja while he was moving. With the speed he was moving and the natural strength he possessed, the Chunin ninja flew towards the arena wall and made a human-sized crater. Kakashi ended his lightning blade before he used too much chakra. Thanks to his Sharingan, Kakashi managed to catch Guy, who was flying towards him. Shocked that someone possessed the skill and strength to do that to Guy, he looked over to see an old man with very long and bushy eyebrows with a Suna headband on. Kakashi sighed. That was one of the honored siblings Abizo. He and Guy were going to have their work cut out for them with the S-rank Suna elder. But the Kazekage. Rasa hasn't moved very much since he started fighting. His gold dust was perfect for all ranges and he has the magnet release to deal with the weapons that could get around it. Rasa lowered his hands to make the gold dust drop to the ground. He changed positions as he felt a group of Konoha shinobi start to charge his way. When they were close enough, he put his hands in the ram seal and the gold dust started to ensnare the ninja, grabbing anything it could to trap them. When he managed to trap them, he covered the Konoha ninja completely using his late sons and crushed them with the gold dust, soaking it with blood. Smirking at yet another group of Konoha ninja killed, he started looking for his next targets when he was forced to use his gold dust to block the fire that flew at him from his blind spot. Looking over, he saw none other than a furious third Hokage. Rasa guessed that he saw him crush his shinobi and sent the old Hokage a smirk. Seeing the Kazekage smirk after crushing his comrades almost sent him over the edge. Hiruzen cared about everyone in the village like they were his family, and to see someone he thought was an ally smile after killing them. Hiruzen was going to enjoy ripping apart the punk. How do you like it, Hiruzen, seeing your comrades being killed, watching as your home is being destroyed? Taunted Rasa with a cruel smirk. While on the inside he was preparing himself for the hardest fight of his life, he pushed away the thought of what happened to Orochimaru and focused on the Hokage. Hiruzen looked around to his village. He saw that smoke was rising from several spots in the village, the sounds of metal hitting metal and the screams of pain. Giant snakes were at the edge of the village being pushed back by Gamaken and Gamahiro. Hiruzen sent a silent thank you to the blonde for making it in time to push back the snakes before they entered the village. But seeing all the death for both sides and that the Kazekage was enjoying it with a smirk on his face made him angry. Hiruzen took in a slow breath before letting out an ungodly amount of Kai towards the Kazekage, while at the same time flaring his chakra in preparation for the fight which started to crack the surface of the roof Hiruzen was standing on. Nobody since he was made an S-rank shinobi when he was 14 has anyone survived a fight with an angry Hiruzen, and the Kazekage has just infuriated the Kami no shinobi. Edge of the village. Chio was using 3 of her sacred puppets with practiced ease, having fought in the 3 great wars and being a ninja since she was 7 years old. She had decades of experience with fighting, and the shinobi trying to engage her weren't using any new tricks. Seeing a firefly at her, she replaces herself with a who was going through seals. Using the moment the shinobi were shocked at the underhanded tactic, Chio used the 3 puppets to get into a triangle formation and initiated the 3 jewels suction crushing. A very powerful vacuum started, such as the shinobi towards the epicenter of the vacuum. The technique was powerful enough to pull someone who was using chakra to stick to the ground off their feet towards it. The shinobi had nothing they could do as they watched a first of their comrades being pulled to the center and crushed under the pressure of the vacuum and spit out the other side. The shinobi who were being pulled in started to yell out after seeing what was going to happen. Chio watched with a blank face as the last of the nin she was facing was crushed in her. Chio was about to move on, but her senses told her to dodge and move away, but her arm was still grazed by a wind. She looked around and saw a bandaged old man using a cane to walk and approach her, like he didn't just try to kill her. She frowned. This was Danzo Shimura, one of the few Konoha shinobi that would prove to be a challenge. I'm afraid that this is as far as you go, Chio. Danzo called out, sounding bored. Chio narrowed her eyes. I'm going to enjoy killing you, Shimura, you have killed a lot of my comrades over the years. Chio shot back with a hard look. Danzo wasted no more time and dropped his cane and freeing his right arm from his black robe and got into position before rushing the Suna elder. But Naruto was cutting his way through the shinobi outside of the walls while his 2 summons fought with the snake summons. Naruto had about 20 clones around him helping him keep shinobi from entering the village. The clone landed next to him that was going through seals he recognized. The real Naruto went through 4 seals before using the water release. Water colliding wave to send out a huge wave of water. While his clone used the lightning release. Electromagnetic murder to enhance the killing potential for the widespread water. The incoming Odo and Sunanin watched as a huge wave of lightning-enhanced water was rushing them through the trees. Some of the Suna ninja used wind to push the water back, while others used earth together to block the lightning-enhanced water. When the wave hit the earth, using shinobi were mostly saved from the wave, but the others when hit and crushed under the water or sent flying towards one of the many trees breaking their bones. Naruto pushed wind chakra into his and went to work attacking the invading force that was trying to recover from the wave of water. Naruto and 3 clones broke through the earth wall and started to engage the enemy who were trying to defend from the onslaught, but their weapons were being cut through by Naruto's wind enhanced. Naruto sidestepped an Odo ninja and stabbed another. His clone replaced itself with the real Naruto before he could be stabbed. Naruto, now in a new spot, charged back in and blocked 2 attacks, then lashing out with his sword, while in his left hand, he created a Rasengan and slammed it into the chest of another Sunanin. Naruto felt that the last of his clones were destroyed by an unknown shinobi who was much faster than the rest. Naruto was forced to duck a decapitating swing from a familiar white sword. Naruto looked over to where he was and saw Kimimaro. Long time no see, bone boy. Naruto called out. Yes, it has been, but I will finish you today. Orochimaru-sama told me about that red chakra from the last time, so I won't be caught off guard today. Kimimaro replied with his usual flat voice. We will see. Naruto said before getting into his stance to prepare himself. Kimimaro was better than him 2 years ago, and he no doubt has improved since then. Naruto was going to have to go all out to kill the bone user. Chapter 14. Invasion 2. Ninja Academy. Kurenai wasn't having the best of time in the invasion. She wasn't a frontline fighter by any means. But right now she was playing the part of one as best she could. She was thinking of the ways she could thank Naruto for making her train in nin and taijutsu over the years. She would be dead if he hadn't. Right now Kurenai was busy defending the academy children from the Odo and Suna ninja. One of the Chunin instructors was helping her. If she recalled, his name was Iruka. Much to her surprise, he was very good in taijutsu and shuriken jutsu. Kurenai weaved through signs to put the 4 Suna shinobi approaching Iruka under a genjutsu that altered their depth perception. Iruka wasted little time and rushed the 4 shinobi. Iruka ran right in and threw a handful of shuriken at the 2 ninja on the right, who dodged late and were impaled all over their bodies. The other 2 ninja flared their chakra to rid themselves of the. As soon as they did, a tree grew around both of them and Kurenai appeared behind both of them and slit their throats. Iruka did the same to his opponents and looked to his female comrade. "You're very good, Kurenai-san." "What was that?" asked Iruka. He knew about a lot so he could teach as best he could, but he hasn't heard of that one. Kurenai smiled. "It's called the demonic illusion. Tree binding death," informed Kurenai before getting serious. "Now normally I would love to talk about genjutsu, but we have more important things to do," Kurenai said before flashing through seals and becoming invisible. Iruka nodded and internally berated himself for getting distracted by something intriguing during an invasion. Page booth rooftop. Orochimaru was not having a good time. He was right now in a fairly even fight with an opponent that had no interest in talking like his sensei would have. Jiraiya wasn't holding back either, and Orochimaru was having an annoying amount of trouble backing off to get a breath of fresh air. Jiraiya grunted when Orochimaru took out his blade. Jiraiya bit his thumb and slammed his hand on the ground, and 2 toads appeared. Gama, who has fought the snake many times before, and a new one by the name of Gameuki, who used a bow staff. Orochimaru frowned. "Ugh, just great, now I have to fight that troublesome Gama and his friend. Jiraiya does this almost every fight, and yet every time it's annoying. Oh well, here I go, I swear I will kill this toad once and for all," thought Orochimaru resolutely. Jiraiya made 4 shadow clones, and each took several positions around the roof. While the real Jiraiya was further off gathering nature chakra so he could finish this fight. Orochimaru was not having an easy time. He would rate the skills of the road Gama at least A rank, which was better than Orochimaru was in pure sword skills. Orochimaru ducked under the katana from Gama and went for a stab and was parried by Gama's other sword. The snake went to extend his neck to bite the toad until the other toad slammed his staff into the unguarded back of Orochimaru. Orochimaru tumbled across the rooftop before righting himself with his anger effectively doubled. Orochimaru flared his chakra and pushed it to his legs to enhance his speed. Gama and Gameuki braced themselves for the onslaught. Orochimaru swung his sword at Gama and extended the blade to stab Gameuki, who was unprepared for the extending blade and was pierced in the shoulder. Gama engaged at his fastest speed and went to slam down both blades on the snake Sannin's head. Orochimaru brought his blade up to block and was pushed into the roof under the sheer pressure of the toad's attack. One of the Jiraiya clones put his hands on the rooftop and used all of its chakra to use the earth release swamp of the underworld to capture Orochimaru. Orochimaru instantly recognized it, using lightning chakra channeled to his legs, and tried to jump out. However, Orochimaru's lightning manipulation was inferior to Jiraiya's earth manipulation, so he was forced to slowly pry himself out rather than jumping out easily. While Orochimaru was slowly pulling himself out of the sticky mud, 2 of the other Jiraiyas went through seals. One of them used the toad oil bullet and coated the mud with it. The other Jiraiya used a fire release flame bullet to ignite the oil. Orochimaru finally got out of the mud when he noticed that Jiraiya used a fire and the entire area of oil-infused mud exploded. Gama, Gameuki and the last Jiraiya watched as the smoke from the fire started to clear. Orochimaru was in agony from the pain, but his face betrayed none of it. He quickly shed his skin and charged the 2 toads and shadow clones. Slithering faster than the 3 were able to counter, Orochimaru was in their guard and opened his mouth after coiling around Gameuki and stabbed Gama in the chest. Gama's eyes widened and disappeared in a puff of smoke, signaling that he returned to Mount Myaboku. Orochimaru felt happier than he thought possible. Since the poison used in was so potent only the likes of Tsunade could heal it, Gama would be dead in an hour. The shadow clone Jiraiya used as much of its chakra, barely having enough to stay active, and made a Rasengan before charging Orochimaru, who was still coiled around Gameuki. Orochimaru was about to release his hold over Gameuki when the toad grabbed the snake's leg, holding him in place. Jiraiya slammed a spinning ball of pure chakra into Orochimaru's head and he exploded into mud. Orochimaru rose from the ground from behind the shadow clone of Jiraiya and slashed through it, dispelling them. All that was left was Gameuki, who readied himself by twirling the staff and taking a stance. Orochimaru charged the bow staff-wielding toad with a legendary Kusanagi blade aimed towards him. Orochimaru used his chakra to extend the blade at its top speed. Gameuki used his staff to deflect it and jumped over Orochimaru to try and hit him on the head with his staff. The snake Sannin evaded the strike and sent his sword out to impale the airborne toad who blocked it with his staff and landed. Orochimaru had enough, flashing through seals faster than Gameuki could follow. Orochimaru used the wind release. Pressure funnel. The foot-in-diameter pressurized funnel of wind tore through the space between the toad and Orochimaru at an incredible speed. Gameuki had no other option unless he wanted to be killed by the air-ank wind, so he released the summon and returned home. Orochimaru watched as he blew off the entire side of the roof that he struck. Orochimaru tried to stretch his senses to find his former teammate. He was probably preparing something. Well, he had a minute Orochimaru look through his person for his special that he was saving for the third Hokage. Jiraiya, whose face has become similar to that of a toad and the blood tears on his face became wider and more pronounced, stood up and readied himself. Ma and Pa Toad were on his shoulders. For once they weren't bickering about what was happening, both were informed of the invasion and were prepared to fight and hopefully finish the snake off once and for all. When this is over, remind me to finish the sage training Fukasaku-sama, which I should have done years ago. It's time I finish it, said Jiraiya. Fukasaku nodded and slammed his fist into his palm. You got it, Jiraiya boy. Now let's deal with Orochimaru. Jiraiya jumped from his spot and noticed the rooftop surrounding where he and Orochimaru were fighting were broken and destroyed, most likely from his two summons, clones and Orochimaru having added. Jiraiya was at one with nature, so while he wasn't in a fight he decided to feel around the battlefield. He didn't sense that Naruto and his sensei were in mortal danger, so he focused and honed in on his former teammate's signature. Orochimaru felt a very large amount of chakra approaching. He quickly realized that it was his real teammate and not a shadow clone. Orochimaru observed his teammate's appearance. His appearance was toad-like, and he had two small toads on his shoulders. He recognized this technique as the same one from the base where they fought 2 years ago. So you are resorting to that technique, are you, Jiraiya? Makes sense, you need to be at your absolute max level to help to survive against me. Mocked Orochimaru. He still believed that he was the strongest of the Sannin, being a genius prodigy and having 2 wars of experience. Orochimaru doubted that other than the Raikage or some of the Akatsuki he couldn't be beaten. Jiraiya snorted, Rachi, I could kill you without this form if I had to. But I want there to be nothing left of your disgusting existence. Retorted Jiraiya. Jiraiya was brought out of his thoughts when he was hit on his head. Hard, if that is the case, why are we here? I could be making dinner right now, but I'm here to help you kill this unhealthily pale boy. Shima yelled. She never really liked being called to fights, especially by Jiraiya, who was far too strong to need her help. I just want to be sure Ma is a slippery one and I don't want him to escape, something he is very good at, and without Sage Mode he could get away easily. Placated Jiraiya, who was still nursing his head. Orochimaru started to chuckle. His fool of a teammate never ceased to amuse him. You are always going to be a fool, Jiraiya, come let me put you out of your misery. Taunted Orochimaru, who knew full well that Jiraiya was going to be very troublesome to fight right now. Jiraiya spared Orochimaru no more words, he just sped toward his former teammate. Middle of the village. Rasa was out of breath, he wasn't used to his gold dust being unable to block every that came at him. But the third Hokage proved to be too powerful in ninjutsu to be completely impeded by the gold dust. Hiruzen flashed through seals, while 2 clones beside him did the same. One of his clones finished his seals and exhaled a large amount of water that shaped itself like a dragon, signifying the water release. Water Dragon Bullet. The other clone pushed both its palms forward and a shrieking gale of wind was released, enhancing the already fast jutsu speed to an even faster level. While the real Hiruzen pointed all 10 fingers toward the wind-enhanced water dragon and used the lightning release. Multi-lightning stream jutsu. Then concentrated beams of lightning slammed into the wind to enhance the water dragon, further enhancing it with lightning. All of this was done over the course of 4 seconds. The wind and lightning enhanced water dragon flew at the Kazekage, who brought up the gold dust to block the dragon slammed into the wall of gold dust and broke, though losing its lightning coat and a majority of its speed. But a water dragon, enhanced or not, was still dangerous and Rasa jumped away to avoid the water dragon. Hiruzen grunted, he was hoping that would be the end of it, but Rasa wouldn't have become a cage had he been slow. Hiruzen charged in and engaged with his staff and swung at an incredible level of speed, easily breaking through the Kazekage's weak guard. Rasa was on the receiving end of an expert barrage of Bijutsu strikes. Rasa molded wind chakra and swung his arm at the third Hokage using the blade of wind. Hiruzen acknowledged the high-level wind and flashed 2 hand signs and blew out a wall of fire at the Kazekage, enhancing his with Rasa's wind, creating a blade of white-hot fire. Rasa cursed silently and used his gold dust to block the fire sword. And sent tendrils of gold dust to grab the third Hokage. Hiruzen used agility that shouldn't be capable of someone his age and used the adamantine staff to destroy the gold dust before it could grab him. Hiruzen without hand seals gathered water into his palm before condensing it. Hiruzen sent out the water release. tearing torrent, a powerful wave of pressurized water blasted at Rasa who blocked it with the gold dust. The dust was moisturized and Hiruzen extended one finger which crackled with lightning and used the lightning release. Lightning stream. The lightning broke through the wall and Hiruzen charged through the opening and did a leg sweep to Rasa, knocking him off his feet and was about to finish the Kazekage before he was grabbed around the leg by gold dust and thrown across several rooftops. The elderly Hokage pushed debris of himself and dusted his ancient body armor off. Hiruzen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and started to run at Rasa, hoping to finish the fight. Rasa sent a wave of gold dust at the aged Hokage. Hiruzen saw the approaching wave and put his staff to the ground, extending it to shoot him over the gold. While he was mid-air, Hiruzen went through seals for the fire release. Ash burning pile, the resulting smoke screen covered the roof the Rasa was on. When Hiruzen was happy with the amount of gunpowder, he clicked his teeth, making a spark, igniting the gunpowder, causing a firestorm in the area the gunpowder was covering. Hiruzen landed from his pole vault and waited for the fire to end or something to leave. He doubted that would be the end of it. Chunin exam arena. Kakashi put Guy back to his feet, looking at the slowly approaching Suna. Elder Kakashi sighed. "Guy, we are going to have our work cut out for us. Open the gates while I distract him." Guy put his arms in an X before building his chakra. There were two known ways to open the gates. Using your chakra to flood the individual gates themselves was the way Guy was taught by his father. But the other way that was invented to help his student was different. It utilized the incredible strain of the primary lotus to open the first gate, and after the technique was finished the body would naturally open the second gate. After the second gate was opened, Lee had the chakra necessary to further open the gates. Guy was using the way he was taught and opened the fifth gate, the gate of limit. Guy with his now enhanced speed and power charged into the fight. Kakashi was covered in scratches and was starting to pant. Abizo was old, but he was still fast and strong, and his experience in dealing with the Sharingan allowed him to fight Kakashi without much trouble. Abizo was forced to replace himself with a stone on the other side of the arena. Guy followed at his enhanced speed given to him by the gates. Abizo noticed that Guy's speed and most likely strength was now in the S-rank territory, which made the Suna elder frown. Konoha was only supposed to have 3 S-rank shinobi. Kakashi smiled at his rival. It never ceased to amaze Kakashi at the boost in speed and strength Guy got from the gates. Kakashi himself was able to open 2 of the gates, but it took an incredible toll on his body to the point he was bedridden for over a week after opening the second gate. Kakashi ate a soldier pill to replenish his chakra. It was Kakashi's main weakness, his substandard reserves. Kakashi has copied over 600 over his time in Anbu. Rumors over time exaggerated his actual number, and he thought it was better to have people fear him than correct the claims. Since Kakashi could usually back up the rumors of his strength with about 15 or 20. However, with his reserves Kakashi was unable to really use most of what he had copied. Now with 4/5 of his chakra replenished, Kakashi weaved through seals for a fire, bringing his hands to his mouth. Kakashi used the fire release. Grand Fireball Jutsu. Abizo was for the most part keeping up with Guy. Despite being enhanced by the gates, Guy has only broken the barrier of S-rank speed, which Abizo was already capable of achieving. Using the decades of experience to his advantage, Abizo was able to redirect and dodge most of Guy's blows that, despite being strong for his age, would kill or cripple Abizo in one hit. Abizo ducked under a spinning kick and sent out his fist with a lightning-fast strike into Guy's stomach and followed up by spitting out a wind senbon that pierced Guy's leg. Abizo was about to finish the attack, but he felt a large amount of heat and noticed a huge fireball approaching. He replaced himself with another piece of rubble, but not without getting burned on his right arm. Kakashi flashed behind Abizo, Sharingan blazing and chakra enhancing his movements, and started to lash out with Taijutsu. Abizo, not one to back down, returned the onslaught and was dodging most of Kakashi's strikes. Abizo ducked under a punch and grabbed Kakashi's arm and pierced Kakashi's chest with his arm. Kakashi suddenly turned into lightning, completely shocking Abizo. The real Kakashi and Guy rushed in Abizo's blind spots. The Suna elder, still under the effects of the lightning clone, was unable to defend himself from the blinding speed pincer attack. Guy jumped and used both legs and kicked the Suna elder in the shoulder, breaking it completely and cracking his spine. Kakashi used the lightning blade to pierce Abizo on the opposite side. Under the combined attacks of Guy and Kakashi, Abizo fell to the ground dead. Kakashi collapsed to one knee panting. The lightning clone, 2 lightning blades and constant use of his Sharingan and enhancing his speed with chakra was way too much for his stamina and reserves. Guy released the 5th gate and sat down next to his rival with a heavy pant and a bleeding leg. "That was a good fight, Kakashi. Hopefully our students make it out of this," said a strangely calm Guy. Kakashi nodded. "When we were fighting I noticed the toads were fighting snakes outside of the village. So I think that is where Naruto is, but other than him I didn't notice any of our other students." said a tired Kakashi, who was also worried about his students. All 6 of them. Kakashi blinked at the amount of precious people he now has. When did that happen? We trained them well, and it is quite convenient that nobody is attacking us or is in the arena while we are recovering. How much longer do you have? Asked Guy. Give me 10 minutes and I will take another pill and be good to go. Replied Kakashi, who was starting to meditate. Village gate. Miko was fighting as hard as she could with her fire-enhanced Tanto. Every time she cut someone they caught on fire, either killing them or stunning them enough for her to kill them. She was cutting through the cannon fodder Suna and Odo ninja that were dumb enough to attack through the main gate. Mika sent chakra to her feet and flickered to outside of the gate to try and start to push the enemy back now that the opposition was starting to slow down. Team Guy was about to follow her. Mika was impressed with the skills of the team. All of them were with a year of experience, but they fought like a team with years of experience. Lee is using his overwhelming speed and Taijutsu mastery to quickly deal with his youthful opposition. Neji was using his prodigious skills with a gentle fist to destroy his opponents. Tenten, the team player, was attacking from afar with her weapons while covering her teammates. She was currently using a bow and arrow with explosive notes on them courtesy of Naruto. Lee redirected a punch from a Suna ninja and blocked a kick from an Odo ninja. He responded by jumping and kicking the Odo nin in the neck and spinning and doing the same to the Suna ninja, knocking them both out. Two kunai from one of the other Chunin in the area pierced the unconscious ninja in the skull, killing them. It was protocol to kill any unnecessary ninja that were unconscious and weren't high-ranking enough to take as a hostage. Neji jumped to attack a ninja from Odo that had purple hair and was looking at him like he was an inconsequential pest. Neji flickered in front of the purple-haired Odo nin that raised her arm to block Neji's strike, but before Neji reached her crystal came down her arm and pierced Neji's hand and expanded inside of his hand. Neji screamed in agony as his right hand turned to a shredded mess. Lee looked to his screaming teammate and frowned before rushing the purple-haired Odo ninja. A most youthful thing to do to my teammate. I shall take you down for hurting Neji. Called Lee as he rushed the Odo nin. The Odo nin almost snarled, trash like you could never take me. Lee went to attack, but a crystal formed on her forearm and Lee had to redirect his kick. Going for a leg sweep making the purple-haired Kunoichi jump back to avoid the attack. Lee followed up by sending out punches faster than she was prepared for, but not faster than she was able to deal with. She quickly jumped back to gain some breathing room. Lee didn't back off, he did a powerful roundhouse kick to her left side which knocked her off her feet. When she flew through the air and landed on the ground, an arrow landed next to her before exploding. The smoke from the exploding arrow cleared. Lee and Tenten saw that the Kunoichi wasn't there. Both were forced to duck under a barrage of crystal shuriken. I'll give you both credit, you dodged my attack pretty well. As a reward I will tell you my name. I'm Orochimaru-sama's most loyal servant, Guren. Said Guren. The two of them prepared for the next round of their fight. Neji watched from cover as he clutched his now useless hand. Forest of Konoha. Two shinobi were clashing over and over again so fast that they appeared as blurs to anyone watching. The sounds of metal on metal were echoing through the forest every time Naruto and Kimimaro crossed swords. Naruto was getting angry, even after training with the old man and Jiraiya sensei. I still barely match up to the bone freak. He has gotten in more hits than me, and every time I land a blow his bones harden and it's useless. I have to think of something or this will end up like the last time. Naruto blocked a swing from Kimimaro and kicked the bone user back and made a dozen clones. Naruto blurred through seals, he expelled a huge condensed ball of wind towards Kimimaro, who weathered the attack. The only thing that marked the attack landing was that his skin appeared paler than the rest, signifying that it was all bone and no skin. Kimimaro forced down the pain and re-engaged Naruto with double the ferocity. Kimimaro activated his first level curse seal, further enhancing his speed and strength. Naruto frowned at the curse seal using a bone user, this was going to get even harder. Naruto further enhanced his flying swallow jutsu, making the sword extend another foot off the tip. Naruto engaged Kimimaro with increased speed himself and matched the bone user blow for blow. One of the Naruto clones flashed seals for the wind release. Pressure damage, it was a long sequence for the air rank requiring 27 seals. Another clone next to that one was building chakra and held the tiger seal. The real Naruto ducked under a swing and sent out a stab that bounced off Kimimaro's stomach. Naruto used the tiger seal and sent out the earth release. Earth flow river, Kimimaro jumped to the side to avoid it. The real Naruto replaced himself with a clone that just finished the seals for the wind release. Pressure damage and released a high-density orb of pure wind chakra that flew towards Kimimaro who dodged easily. Naruto smirked when the orb expanded covering several meters in diameter before the clone in the tree used the fire release. Dragon Fire Jutsu. The two combined into a storm of extremely hot fire that turned everything inside to ash. Kimimaro was burned badly before he escaped the fire. Kimimaro released his seal to the highest level going into the level 2 state. Naruto frowned when he felt the vile chakra come from the direction of the fire. Naruto barely had time to dodge the bone whip. He was shocked when he took in the appearance of his opponent. His skin was dark and had several bones protruding from his back. The bone user started to engage the blondin at an even faster pace. Naruto frowned, what the hell is this form? Has he always had a second form or is this new? I might need to tap into Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto thought grimly. Kimimaro kicked Naruto away. Now that I am at my peak level of strength, you will die like the trash you are. Called out Kimimaro. Kimimaro looked at the blonde in front of him with no emotion before vanishing in a burst of speed. Naruto brought his sword up to block the bone sword but was unable to block the bone whip wrapped around his left leg, causing him to grunt in pain. Naruto tried to cut the bone whip but was unable to even with wind chakra enhancing his sword. Kimimaro jumped back and pulled the whip, ripping a huge gash through Naruto's leg, who didn't try to hold back the scream of pain. Kimimaro didn't spare a second and kept on attacking at the same speed. Naruto was only still in the fight thanks to the clones that kept replacing themselves with the real Naruto before he was stabbed. Naruto blocked a strike and ducked under the whip before he could swing again. He was in another spot, his clone replaced itself with him. Kimimaro shot a volley of bones from his fingertips at Naruto who was on a branch. But the volley of bones flying at Naruto he replaced himself with a log. Naruto was not in a good place, his leg was almost useless, he was covered in cuts, tired, kind of hungry, and just wanted to go home and sleep. Naruto tried to heal his leg, but he couldn't focus his control to heal effectively. Kimimaro appeared in front of Naruto and re-engaged with him. Naruto dodged the sword, deflected the whip and stabbed Kimimaro between two ribs. The wind-enhanced sword managed to pierce, but it was a non-vital area. Kimimaro frowned at being stabbed by the blonde. After kicking away the blonde, the bone user charged back in at his top speed. Naruto was unable to block the stab to his stomach. Naruto grunted in pain before his eyes became red with a feline slit. Naruto started to release a large amount of killing intent and was starting to be covered in red chakra, healing him and making his features more animal-like. Naruto backhanded Kimimaro, launching him several feet away. Naruto growled at the bone user, now, let's start round 2. Naruto's voice was more gruff and way more intimidating. Kimimaro put his spine bone whip back and made another bone sword. The now dual-wielding bone user faced off against the Biju-enhanced Naruto. But Team Baki. Team Baki was cutting their way through the village, their objective was to make it to the hospital and destroy it with explosive notes. Baki was getting worried about Temari, she wasn't acting crazy, but she wasn't showing any remorse after her 15th kill. Even Baki didn't handle killing that well when he was her age during the Third Great Ninja War. Kankuro was starting to flinch less after each kill, so for the most part was dealing with it fine. Kankuro is using his puppet crow with practiced ease. After training with the elder Chio, he was faster with his puppet's movements and had faster reaction time to avoid attacks that came for him. The son was killed without remorse, he was a war veteran and knew his duty and carried it out. He was hailed as soon as strongest and being high A rank on the precipice of becoming S rank, he didn't have many people who could stop him. Baki noticed that he and his genin were about to reach the hospital. When they got within eyesight of the hospital they were attacked by a large man with red hair and battle armor. Baki regarded the man for a moment, you are Choza Akimichi. One of the 3 for the infamous Ino Shikacho formation. Called out Baki, this also served as a warning to his team. Before the invasion they were briefed on all of the notable Konoha shinobi, before them was easily an A rank opponent and if the other 2 were near an S rank team that was to be avoided at all costs. Toza nodded, and you are Baki of the desert. I suppose they tasked you with destroying the hospital. This is as far as you 3 go. The Akimichi patriarch said before attacking the Suna team. Baki rushed in to take Choza head-on, while his team offered support from the background. Choza was finding it difficult to deal with not only the Suna Jonin, but dodged the attacks from the genin simultaneously. Choza used his staff and considerable strength to bat away Baki, who winced in pain from the powerful blow to his side from the Akimichi's staff. Seeing his sensei get hit, Kankuro sent out a crow to attack the. Choza blocked the puppet's attacks, the speed was about level, maybe higher, but not something that was too much for the Akimichi patriarch. Crow started to spin rapidly with blades protruding from many different points on its body. Choza started backstepping to avoid the no doubt poison blades. Normally he would have grown with his super melee-sized technique to deal with his opponents, but with the poison the puppet user could easily hit him with, it was better to stay normal-sized and play it smart. Temari channeled chakra into her fan and used the wind release. Great task of the dragon, swinging her fan towards the sky causing the clouds to darken. Choza managed to bat away the puppet and was assaulted by a tornado of slicing winds that started to cut him all over. When the technique ended, Choza started panting. He looked over to the Kunoichi, who looked surprised that someone survived the attack. Baki, who watched the wind hit, was impressed that his student managed to hit Akimichi. Baki's body flickered in and kicked Choza into a building, making an indentation the size of Choza. Baki snapped his fingers and wind started to gather before he swung his arm in the direction of Choza. The blade of wind did what it was made to do and severed Choza's head. Baki took a huge breath. "Let's keep moving, we have to finish our mission," ordered Baki to his genin. Both of them nodded before following towards the hospital. Edge of the village. Danzo was weaving in and out of the Suna elders' puppets. Chio proved to be a decent adversary, even though she was older than Danzo, and he doubted she still trained regularly. He was forced to keep a high level over his right eye, making it look like it was still covered in cloth when he was in fact using Shisui Sharingan. Chio observed Danzo dodge another sneak attack from her puppets like he anticipated it. Danzo waved his right arm at and sent the wind release slash at the Suna elder, who dodged it effortlessly. She was almost insulted that Danzo was using her village's main element against her, but knew he was a master of wind, so that it wasn't arrogance but his preference. Chio was still using 3 of her sacred puppets. She refused to use more than 3 puppets on one opponent. However, if Danzo kept going the way he was, she might have to bring out 1 or more to help. Danzo made a seal-less earth clone beneath him, then he used 2 seals and exhaled dozens of vacuum bullets at the puppets, who weathered the attacks, but not without taking a considerable amount of damage from attack. Chio frowned at her puppets. She was unfamiliar with Danzo's branch of wind jutsus. They packed way more piercing power than any she has seen. Chio was brought out of her thoughts when another Danzo shot up from the ground and slashed Chio's gut. The Suna elder clutched her stomach before having one of her puppets destroy the clone before it did any more damage. After seeing his surprise attack was successful, Danzo rushed in at his top speed. Chio was forced to control her puppets with one hand, not something difficult for someone of her skill, but that meant she was limited to 5 puppets if she needed more. Danzo brought out a shuriken and kunai, enhancing both with wind chakra. He threw the shuriken towards the puppets, who moved out of the way, while he used his kunai to cut the chakra strings controlling the puppets. Chio immediately went on the defensive. She was trying to make her way back to her puppets to attach her strings again or get the time to release more from her scrolls. Danzo was attacking her relentlessly. She would lean back from a strike and would almost be stabbed in the chest. Every move she made Danzo countered or disregarded without a second of hesitation. Chio watched as Danzo threw a dozen shuriken at her. She avoided shuriken and watched as Danzo readied his kunai with more chakra. Then she was stabbed in the back. The image in front of her blurred before changing to show that Danzo wasn't in front of her and she had a wind-enhanced kunai sticking out of her chest. When did he? I guess this is the end, Chio thought before she dropped dead. Danzo looked over the dead Suna elder. Chio, the only reason you didn't use more puppets is because you believed I was unworthy for more than 3. You were strong, but your skills have deteriorated over the years without practice. Typical complacent shinobi. This is why I push Hiruzen to make training mandatory for our shinobi, so this exact thing doesn't happen to our ninja. Danzo thought before covering his Sharingan eye. An Anbu with a blank mask with the symbol for root on it appeared before him, bowing. Danzo-sama, we are managing to hold the enemy from taking any key points, but we are suffering casualties. Naruto is using his beast's chakra against his opponent on the outside of the village, and the Hokage is pushing back the Kazekage. I don't have word on the status of the 2 Sannin. However, we have a dangerous adversary destroying its way to the Hokage Tower. It looks to be one of Orochimaru's. And a strange crystal using a woman by the entrance, overwhelming Team Guy. Droned the root ninja. Danzo nodded and dismissed his soldier. It's expected that Hiruzen is easily dealing with that fool of a Kazekage. If the fool of a Sannin lets Orochimaru go, this will all be for nothing and I might have him killed. Naruto, you better know what you are doing, we haven't had you train with your yet. Now, let's go see this intriguing crystal user at the gate, thought Danzo before flickering away towards the main gate. Hokage Tower. Amura, Kaharu and a team of Anbu were atop the Hokage Tower directing shinobi to points of the village with Inoichi Yamanaka using his telepathic abilities to relay the information. One of the Anbu looked to the elders, Kaharu-sama, Hamura-sama. We have a huge chakra signature approaching, we should relocate you both, informed the Anbu captain. Both the elders looked at each other for a moment before frowning. Hamura stepped forward. We will meet this adversary. We did not become the elders because of our age. Hamura said to not just the captain but to all of the shinobi on the roof. Both of the elders and Anbu team jumped off to meet the large chakra signature. When they arrived they were greeted with dark-skinned, orange hairs. Monster. Kaharu narrowed her eyes. What do you think of Hamura? She refused to acknowledge the doubt of being capable of killing the thing in front of her. The orange-haired beast looked towards the newcomers. All right. I gonna kill all of you. Come here so I can blast you to bits, yelled the psychotic Odo ninja. Amura held in a chuckle. Well, that sounds promising, he said, trying to lighten the tension. The others ignored his comment and focused on the crazy ninja. But Hiruzen and Rasa. Rasa was inside of the fire beneath a dome of gold dust. He didn't escape unharmed, his right side was severely burned from the surprise firestorm. Rasa frowned, with the magnet release I have wind and earth, never before have I cursed myself for disregarding the other elements. I can't use wind since Sarutobi is very quick on the fire jutsus and he is probably just as fast with lightning. Should I use earth? I will have to hold out with the gold dust since that's all I have that is encountered by a specific element. Rasa has never needed much more than his gold dust and the occasional wind to finish his opponent, but this was his first cage versus cage fight he has been in. And Hiruzen Sarutobi was hailed as the strongest cage of his generation, so he was angry at his overconfidence and thinking that the old man was past his prime and would be an easy kill. When the fire cleared, Hiruzen frowned again. Rasa managed to erect a dome of gold to shield him. Hiruzen had Enma extend and push through the gold dome and slam into Rasa, blasting him out the other side. Hiruzen charged in at a speed so fast it could be considered a body flicker. When Hiruzen came upon the Kazekage, he looked half burned and was clutching his right side that his staff no doubt hid. Rasa knew that the fight was effectively over. He couldn't hope to move at his top speed nor use both his arms to control the gold dust. I guess being killed by the Kami no Shinobi isn't the worst way to go, thought Rasa, content with his end. Hiruzen looked on with a stone face. Any last word, Rasa? Asked Hiruzen. He only asked this for opponents of S-rank caliber or of those he respected, and Rasa was S-rank. Finish it, Sarutobi, snarled Rasa. Hiruzen spun his staff for a second before swinging it at Rasa's neck. The sheer strength behind Hiruzen's swing severed Rasa's head from his shoulders. That, by my count, marks your 10th S-rank kill, Sarutobi. Enma commented. Hiruzen looked down at the eye that was on his staff and nodded with a hard face. He didn't enjoy killing, but killing a cage was necessary in a war. Hiruzen felt a huge chakra signature starting to overpower his teammates' chakra towards his tower. With his new mission, he charged off towards the Hokage Tower. Chapter 15. Invasion Final. Konoha Hospital. Hiashi Hyuga is defending the hospital. He was tasked with leading a team of. Hiashi is the head of the Hyuga clan and is the strongest of the Hyuga clan. Fu Sunanin tried to get the drop on him, but thanks to his blessed eyes, he can never be snuck up on. Using the rotation to blast the two ninja away, Hiashi charges both of them and blasts both of their hearts with a concentrated burst of chakra, killing them instantly. Hiashi uses his Byakugan to scan the surrounding area. His team is alright, Hana is closest and is batting away Odonin with ease. Hiashi sees three ninjas come into his sight. It's 1 and 2 genin that Hiashi recognizes from the exam. The three Suna ninja appear in front of him. Baki tenses. It's like Konoha wants them to fight all of their clan heads and Hiashi isn't the weakest one. Hiashi Hyuga, looks like we get to take down another clan head. Hopefully you can put up more of a fight than Choza did. Baki taunts. Hiashi isn't just a Hyuga in name, he easily pushes down the emotional response and settles for a frown. Damari grows impatient, channeling chakra into her fan. She unleashes a widespread wind. Hiashi uses rotation, then charges the three Sunanin. Hiashi pushes chakra into his right palm. He waits for the right moment, then blasts the puppet user with the 8 trigrams vacuum palm. Kankuro didn't know that the Hyuga have a like that. Kankuro does the only thing he could think of. He puts his puppet in front of him as a meat shield. Crow is obliterated under the pressurized blast of wind chakra. Hiashi flickers toward the female Sunanin. He was about to kill her when Jonin appeared in front of him. Hiashi wouldn't lie and say that he is weak, he is actually quite strong. Hiashi, however, wields the strongest jutsu form around. Baki quickly feels his start to seal one after another. He needs to get his team out of here, they couldn't proceed any further. Damari bites her thumb and whips it along her fan. She uses her wind release. Great sickle weasel jutsu. He unleashes over a dozen vacuum blades towards the Hyuga, who could only use the rotation again. While the Hyuga uses his signature defense, Team Baki quickly escapes. After this is finished, Hiashi uses his Byakugan to find his opponents. He sees Team Baki running away with haste. Hiashi smirks, chasing away enemies without even breaking a sweat. Hiashi starts looking for more Sunanin. There aren't any more in his area, either they are being killed faster or are retreating. Either way, Hiashi is happy that this invasion is almost over. But the elders and Jugo. Jugo is completely insane while he is using his curse seal. Right now he is crushing the skull of some sunglasses wearing ninja that tried to kill him, pathetic fool. He sees some old people and masked fools and smiles maniacally. Jugo laughs insanely and uses chakra to create boosters and practically flies at the old fools. He forms a giant axe in his forearm and starts swinging wildly without any form. Hamura and Kaharu start to evade the wild swings. Hamura ducks under the axe and uses hand seals for the fire release. Fire Dragon Bullet. The resulting fire dragon was quiet. Kaharu pushes the palm forward and uses the wind release. Gale Palm, the winds produced by her wind technique was unimpressive. Even as it enhances the fire dragon, it only makes it brighter and she frowns, she wishes she's still trained. Hugo laughs at the pathetic attempt, he charges through the fire dragon towards the old man and tackles him to the ground. "I'm gonna blast you to bits," yelled Jugo. Amura tries to push the monster off of him, but Jugo is insanely stronger than him. Jugo's back starts to morph and form several cannons. From the cannons concentrated balls of chakra form. The Anbu and Kaheru tense, there isn't anything they can do. If they fire at Jugo, they will hit Hamura. The balls of chakra fire at Hamura, the ground under Jugo and Hamura is destroyed, making a bloody crater. Elder Hamura is no longer solid. Haha. That was fun. Whose next Jugo is knocked into a building by an adamantine staff, courtesy of one Hiruzen Sarutobi. Anbu. Escort Kaheru out of here to the shelters, I will handle this. Ordered Hiruzen. The Anbu disappeared without a whisper of noise. Kaheru is frowning at the underline message, she is a liability. Not to mention that one of her oldest friends was just turned into a puddle. She leaves without a word, almost sending Hiruzen a silent good luck, but she knows he won't need it. Hiruzen has a stone face, and his chakra is flaring wildly. He was too late to save his teammate, now he's going to destroy the abomination. Page booth rooftops. Jiraiya is currently kicking Orochimaru's ass across their rooftop battlefield. Jiraiya isn't holding back, he isn't going to let the snake escape this time. Orochimaru was nailed in the face by a nature-enhanced fist, which is painful. Jiraiya, Fukasaku and Shira start building chakra. When the snake comes back with the legendary Kusanagi prepared to kill, the three sages unease their combination, Sage Art. Gomen. The resulting tidal wave of boiling hot oil rushes Orochimaru with frightening speed. Orochimaru has one that is capable of taking the Gomen head-on, he bites his thumbs and uses the summoning Rashomon. The Hell Gate springs up from the ground and blocks the boiling oil. Orochimaru is behind the wall concentrating on his, if he lets up on it, the boiling oil will melt right through his defense. Jiraiya flickers behind the Rashomon and hits the snake with a sage-enhanced jutsu combination. With nature chakra, Jiraiya hits as hard as his teammate. However, Tsunade releases her chakra all at once, Jiraiya's punches didn't release chakra in a burst, they are just that strong. Orochimaru can definitely feel the difference, he would prefer getting hit by his female teammate. Jiraiya uses one of his secret tools, the stone swords. These are sacred sage chakra enhanced swords from Mount Myaboku. After kicking Orochimaru away he takes his sword and charges in, the blade is humming from Jiraiya's sage chakra. Orochimaru sees Jiraiya approaching with a sword and sends out a mental command to Kusanagi to come. Jiraiya is able to dodge the levitating sword thanks to his sage reflexes. He and Orochimaru engage in a bout of Genjutsu. Jiraiya is nowhere near as good as his teammate in Genjutsu, however he is batting him away thanks to his superior strength. Fukasaku and Shima both use the fighting tongue slash, Orochimaru is forced to dodge and reflect the incredibly fast and dangerous tongues. Jiraiya uses the opportunity to sever the snake's right arm. Orochimaru howls in pain, he just lost his right arm, the fight is as good as done. Jiraiya throws the stone sword away and starts punching away at his deranged and traitorous teammate. Then he grabs the Kusanagi blade off the ground and stabs it into Orochimaru's stomach, then throws him into the Gomen that was still flowing past the Rashomon. Kabuto has been watching the two former teammates fight in a battle that he isn't dumb enough to get in between. When he sees his master get stabbed by the blade he flows his chakra outward. Kabuto replaces himself with his master right before he is about to be thrown into the Gomen. Kabuto silently sends out a thank you to his adopted mother Nono for taking care of him and apologizes to his brother Urashi for being killed before he could see him once more. Kabuto is melted instantly in a few thousand-degree waves of boiling oil. Orochimaru watched as his right-hand man was thrown into the boiling oil in his place. The snake hisses angrily, that was his most trusted ninja. Jiraiya will pay, Orochimaru takes out a scroll and creates 4 shadow clones. Jiraiya felt the switch, but if someone is so loyal to the snake that they are willing to die for him, they deserve to die anyway. Jiraiya jumps up to where Orochimaru is and sees him slam his hand onto a scroll and 2 coffins rise up from the ground. Jiraiya frowns, what is this? Orochimaru smirks, this is what I was going to use against sensei, but you'll work I guess. Right as he said that the 2 coffins open up, revealing the first and second Hokages. Jiraiya and the 2 toads tense at the sight of the legendary senjus. This is the summoning Edo Tensei. Orochimaru said with his smirk still intact. The 2 Hokage looked around, both confused. What's going on? Hashirama asked. This is said Tobirama. Jiraiya looks at the 2 Hokage and flickers in, both of the revived Hokages look dead and weren't attacking, so Jiraiya took the initiative. Hashirama and Tobirama quickly evade the Toad Sage, Orochimaru is cursing violently, he never got to implant the talismans. Jiraiya is engaging Orochimaru into jutsu, he sends a kick at the snake's head who leans back, but the nature chakra lands a hit on the snake knocking him away. The two Hokage are watching the two Sannin fight with confusion, what the hell is going on? Hokage-sama, please help me take care of Orochimaru. He is leading the invasion against Konoha. Jiraiya calls to the Hokages. Right as they were about to respond they turned to ash. Orochimaru walks up with a frown, he has failed. You will this round Jiraiya, but I swear to you I will be back. Hisses Orochimaru. The Orochimaru before him popped, showing that it was only a shadow clone. Jiraiya can't feel the real Orochimaru and destroys a wall in rage. When will I get a chance to fight him where he can't escape? Jiraiya screamed in rage. Every time he fights his teammate, he gets away. Jiraiya feels around the village, Rasa is dead, his sensei is fighting. Something strong in Naruto is still fighting outside the village walls. It's okay Jiraiya boy. We'll get him. Fukasaku soothes, he felt the failure was just not as bad as his student. Jiraiya nods and dismisses the sages, reverting back to a normal appearance. He just rushes off to kill someone, maybe that will help. But Naruto. Naruto feels like he could fight an army, he and Kimimaro are fighting at an even faster speed than before. Both are masters of Genjutsu, well Kimimaro is, but Naruto is enhanced enough to keep up with the bone user. Kimimaro would admit that he is only still alive because of his almost indestructible bones. Kimimaro ducks under Naruto's sword and goes for a stab, but the red chakra lashes out against him. Naruto forms a Rasengan with the Kyuubi's chakra that turns purple in color, thanks to the influx of chakra. Naruto appears in front of the bone user and slams the orb of condensed chakra into Kimimaro's chest. Kimimaro gets launched backwards with a hole in his chest. Coughing up blood, Kimimaro pulls himself to his feet. He only has one thing left, his illness is already taking its toll, and the wound in his chest is going to finish him. You're strong, I'll give you that. However, this is where we both end. Kimimaro's chakra flares wildly. Naruto tenses, Kimimaro blasts towards him with incredible speed. Naruto notices that his arm is in the form of a drill. Naruto, under the influence of the chakra makes him more feral, so he doesn't have the insane reaction time he usually does, and the bone drill goes through his leg. Naruto punches away Kimimaro and jumps toward him with a Rasengan in hand. Kimimaro coughs a few times before using his last bit of chakra to use his last trump card, the dance of the seedling farm. Usually, Kimimaro is capable of making thousands of bone spikes. At his peak he could make tens of thousands. But on the verge of death he can only make a couple hundred. Naruto mid-air sees the hundreds of bone spikes rise from the ground. Naruto makes a clone to pull him out of the way of danger. Naruto lands toward the edge of the field, he is pierced all over his body by the spikes that are on the edge of the bone forest. The outer spikes are smaller, but that doesn't make them any less painful. Kimimaro rises out from one of the bones nearest to Naruto, he goes to strike Naruto, but collapses before he can. The illness, injuries and using the last of his chakra succeeded in finishing off the bone user. Naruto's head drops in exhaustion, even after all that I didn't even kill him, he killed himself from chakra exhaustion. Naruto thought before passing out. A rude Anbu that has been observing the fight jumps down to remove Naruto from the spikes and takes him to the hospital. Konoha main gate. Lee and Tenten are being pushed to the brink of defeat. Guren is extremely strong, she could switch between offense and defense at a moment's notice. Guren puts her hands in the snake seal and uses her crystal release. Growing crystal thorns. Lee and Tenten start running back and dodging the spikes of crystals, when one misses another shoots out from the side towards them. Lee didn't have anything in his arsenal he can use against Guren, to open the gates he needs to first use the lotus, he doubts that he can get her into position to use the lotus. Tenten is firing explosive arrows at Guren while she dodges. Guren is getting really annoyed, the trash ninja in front of her just won't die. No matter what she throws at them they are experts at dodging, not to mention the random Anbu that would attack her before she would skewer them. Guren is about to charge into the fight to kill them with her bare hands when she is forced to dodge a wind that would have shredded her. That is quite the fascinating thing you have there. Tell me, is that Keke Genkai or Keke Toda? Danzo asked with genuine curiosity, he has never heard of crystal release. Leave it to Orochimaru to find such a gem. Or crystal in this case. Shut up trash. I will kill you for Orochimaru-sama. Declared Guren. Then I will have you know that Orochimaru is currently fleeing from the village. It seems that your master is indeed a spineless coward, what does that make you who is a loyal servant of a coward? Asked Danzo. Guren snarls, she can't feel her master's presence, she couldn't feel that bastard Kabuto's presence either. She looks over the shinobi in front of her, she goes through two seals and uses a. All the shinobi in front of her look at her like she is crazy, nothing happened. Until they hear someone collapse. Niji. Lee and Tenten yell in concern. Guren smirks as she makes a crystal dragon to fly away on. The Hyuga that she stabbed earlier still has crystal particles inside of him, so she expanded the particles and skewered the Hyuga as a goodbye present to the Konoha scum. Neji lies on the ground, he isn't dead yet, but he knows that he wouldn't be walking away anytime soon. Or ever. Lee. I'm sorry. Your SP splendid shinobi Neji trails off succumbing to the permanent darkness. Neji. Cried Lee. His teammate and his rival have just died. One of the root shinobi walks forward and touches the back of Neji with a glowing palm. The root ninja turns to Danzo and shakes his head. Danzo frowns at the scene. Neji Hyuga, what a waste. He was going to be the strongest Hyuga since his Omu Hyuga, Hiashi's grandfather, who is still hailed as the strongest Hyuga of all time. Such a shame you died so early. Danzo orders his root to clean up the rest of the lingering ninja around while he starts back towards the Hokage Tower. But Hiruzen and Jugo. Hiruzen is currently destroying the chakra monster. He may be strong, but he is a berserker in this state, something that Hiruzen is capable of dealing with. Jugo charges in wildly, Hiruzen extends his staff and it slams into Jugo's gut. Hiruzen flies through seals, earth release. Earth flow spears. Jugo is impaled by dozens of spears, he starts screaming insanely before shattering the spears and breaking free. Jugo launches himself at the third Hokage, he makes 2 axes on his forearms and starts swinging wildly, trying to slaughter the elderly Hokage. Hiruzen scared, it would seem that he will need something much stronger to deal with the chakra beast. Or something sharper. Hiruzen puts Enma down and he returns back to his normal form. Hiruzen is flowing through seals, wind release. Vacuum serial waves. Hiruzen shakes his head while blowing out wind, everything on the receiving end of the wind is sliced in half. Jugo didn't realize what was coming and just charged right in, he didn't know what hit him. Only that everything felt cold. Jugo fell to the ground, bisected at the waist. If that is all Hiruzen, most of the enemy is retreating, they must have found the Kazekage's body and given up. Said Enma. Hiruzen dismisses the King of Apes and starts making his way back to the Hokage Tower. Konoha's will of fire lets them succeed in kicking away their enemies, now he needs to see who has died and the status of his top shinobi. What a day. 3 days later. Konoha Hospital. Naruto felt like shit, he blinked his eyes and tried to sit up only to be pushed back down. No you don't, you're not allowed to get up until the doctor allows you to. A female voice says, making Naruto smile, he recognizes the voice. Nai-chan, I'm glad you're okay. What happened? Asked Naruto. Kurenai frowned, quite a few people died, we suffered quite a lot of damage and suffered a lot of casualties. Neji was killed. Kurenai said sadly, others died, but Neji is the only one that Naruto knew well enough. Naruto closes his eyes and sends a silent prayer to the fallen Hyuga. Neji may have been a little stuck up, but he was an excellent shinobi that died too young. Anything else I should know about? Asked Naruto with hesitation. Orochimaru got away, he used a shadow clone as a distraction to escape from Jiraiya, but Kabuto was killed. Kurenai said, hoping that the death of the traitor would raise his spirits a little. Naruto just took a breath. Well, that is a little good news, but we still have to deal with the snake. Now, more importantly, how are you? Naruto said with a smile. Kurenai giggled at the blonde trying to be smooth. They are interrupted by the door opening. A nurse walks in reading her clipboard, not even bothering to look up. Well Uzumaki, you are clear to leave. Just be easy for a day or so the wounds don't open. The nurse said before leaving. Naruto looks over to his girlfriend, now where were we? He said before kissing Kurenai. Hokage's office. Hiruzen rubs his eyes with a sigh. This war is going to be a pain in the ass, Konoha lost quite a few shinobi during the invasion, so they will be spread quite thin. Their daimyo demanded compensation from the daimyo of Kase no Kuni when they refused. Hiruzen declared war on Suna. Not to mention that Orochimaru is still out there, however the snake lost almost all of his noteworthy shinobi. Naruto finished the bone user, he himself killed the chakra monster, and Kabuto was killed by Jiraiya. However, Orochimaru still lives and he still has the crystal user. Hiruzen, despite all his knowledge, he has never heard of crystal release, maybe she is the first of her line, and from what he has heard it is quite powerful. Hiruzen is tired of waiting to be hit, he needs to start hitting first. He'll have Jiraiya search high and low for the snake to finish him. Plus it is time for Tsunade to come home, she has wallowed enough. You might want to take a break, old man. Jiraiya said from the window, bringing Hiruzen out of his thoughts. Hiruzen looks at his student then back to his paperwork, there is so much of it. I'm tired of this Jiraiya, I need to find a replacement. I shouldn't even be a Hokage right now. Hiruzen said while looking at the picture of the 4th Hokage. Jiraiya looks at his sensei for a moment. There is one person who can replace you right now, we just need to find her. Said Jiraiya. Hiruzen sighs, I'm not sure that she would be a good Hokage, but if you think you can bring her back. I won't stop you. Honestly, Hiruzen would gladly give the hat to Tsunade, it is pretty much her birthright. But he needs to first make sure that she would be a good Hokage, at least until Naruto is old enough to take the mantle. I'm going to make a few rounds to my informants. Crow has been trying to get a hold of me for the past month, something urgent. I will be back in a month or so, after that Naruto and I are going to see about getting him back," said Jiraiya. Hiruzen nods to his student before he leaves. The third Hokage lets out a tired sigh, there is paperwork to be done and a war to be fought. Training Ground 7. Kakashi is watching Sasuke train, ever since he got out of the hospital Sasuke has been training even harder. Right now Sasuke is practicing the Chidori, so far the Uchiha can manage 3 without collapsing. "That's good Sasuke, you might want to do the other lightning manipulation training, with more control you will be able to do more of them with less chakra," commented Kakashi. Sasuke grunts in acknowledgement, he has been pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion every day since the finals. He heard that they are at war with Sana and Odo, this is his opportunity to fight strong opponents and grow strong. He needs to increase his reserves and to master his affinities, his lightning and his natural fire. Lightning is coming along faster than fire, but Kakashi said that his affinity for lighting is twice as strong as his fire affinity. "I'm still so weak, I'm not progressing fast enough. I need someone stronger to train me, otherwise I'll never be strong enough to kill Itachi," thought Sasuke. In the times that he is alone the curse mark on his neck would flare and he could hear whispers of someone promising strength. But until he can find who that is, he is busy training with Kakashi and working on the skills he already has. Sasuke has been training with his fire release on his own in the compound. So far he has learned 3 B ranks since unlocking the Sharingan, once he masters his eyes he can proceed to the A rank library, written by Madara himself. Sasuke is brought out of his thoughts when he hears a hawk above him. "Well it seems that I have a mission, you be careful now," Kakashi said before leaving in a body flicker. Sasuke doesn't even look over to his sensei, he just charges his left hand with lightning chakra and produces another Chidori before plunging it into a boulder. The creator is bigger but not concentrated enough. Still not good enough. 2 days later. With Naruto. Naruto is on his way to the Hokage's office, he has been called for a mission, even though he got out of the hospital 2 days ago. So much for relaxing with his girlfriend, stupid war. Knocking on the Hokage's door, he enters when he hears the call of "come in." Hiruzen looks up from his desk towards the blonde, "Good you're here, I have a mission for you with these 3," said Hiruzen. Naruto looks to where Hiruzen is pointing and sees 3 people his age, Jonin if he isn't mistaken. One of them is a blonde much like himself, she is in a purple shirt and skirt with bandages covering the upper thighs and her stomach. Naruto recognizes the boys, they sat next to him during his first 2 years in the academy. One of them is Shikamaru if Naruto isn't mistaken, and the other is Choji. Shikamaru looks more or less the same if a little more serious. Choji however is different, Naruto got a look at the chubby Akimichi during the exams and he was more cheerful then. Now he has a blank face and isn't even eating chips, he just looks dead. "Your mission is on the border, I have a scroll I want you to deliver to the front lines. Naruto is in charge," ordered Hiruzen. "You 3 pack for a week and meet me at the gate," said Naruto. After the 3 genin leave, Naruto looks over to the Hokage with a curious look. "What happened to Choji?" asked Naruto. Hiruzen lets out a sigh, "The Akimichi clan suffered a loss in the invasion, Choza was killed in the line of duty," said Hiruzen. Naruto nods grimly at the news, Choji lost his father. "If that is all." Hiruzen waves him off. Main gate. Shikamaru is worried about his friend, Choji hasn't been the same since the invasion. All he has seen his chubby friend do is train ever since his father's funeral. Ino is also worried about his teammate, he is usually so happy and always eating. But for the past few days, she hasn't seen him touch any potato chips. All he does is train. Choji is focused on the mission, he doesn't care what he needs to do, he will complete his task, then come home to continue his training. He won't lose anyone else that is precious to him, he'll die before he does. All 3 were brought out of their thoughts when Naruto appeared next to them. "Hey guys, let's get a move on, it should only take about a day to get to the border outpost," said Naruto. Team 10 nods and follows Naruto out of the village. Sunagakure no Sato. Kazekage's office. Baki is sitting behind his new desk, he was made Kazekage after the rest of the village learned of the 4th Kazekage's death. Baki doesn't feel that he is strong enough to be Kazekage, but he is doing his duty for the village. The council has been pushing for ending the war, Suna lost both honored siblings, their cage, and quite a lot of shinobi. Now they are in a war with Konoha that they know they can't win. Baki is looking over a report from the border, Suna is being pushed back into their country by the Konoha front. Baki is considering the idea of reaching out to Iwa for assistance, maybe if he tells them about the 4th heir and how strong he is becoming they would consider it. Aki nods to himself, he would reach out to Iwa. That is their only hope of coming out alive. Kumagakure no Sato. Raikage's office. That is looking over the reports he has received about the recent invasion that Konoha suffered. Normally A would use this as an opportunity to invade himself, but he and his council agreed that an unnecessary war would be foolish. He received word that there has been some dispute on the border he shares with Iwa. Something about how some Iwa shinobi have been disappearing. He doesn't know what's going on, but he isn't going to let his shinobi die because some Iwa shinobi think he has been killing their comrades. For now A is going to have a few teams on constant border patrol. He wants to make sure that the Iwa shinobi stay in their country or the people behind this don't come into his country and take his shinobi. A is starting to feel nostalgic of the times right before the Third Great War, tension was high and the countries were waiting for someone to fire the first shot. Much like how it is now. The Wagakure no Sato. Tsuchikage's office. Inoki is furious, not only are his shinobi randomly disappearing, but he doesn't know who is behind it. He isn't sure that Kumo is behind the abductions, but all the signs point to it. However, Inoki hasn't survived the life of a shinobi in cage by being a fool, he knows something is going on. Someone is playing a dangerous game with his village and he is going to turn them to dust when he finds them. The council has been asking if Inoki wants to help Suna with their war against Konoha. As much as he would love to, war isn't something that Iwa needs or can afford. Most don't like to think about the costs of war, weapons, training, food, medical supplies. Not to mention the most expensive and time-consuming thing a war destroys faster than anything else, shinobi. During the Third Shinobi War, Minato Namikaze put a major hurting on their forces. In just one of the many battles that Iwa was winning, the Flash came along and wiped out over 1,000 shinobi in less than a minute. Years of training, years of schooling. Gone in a blink of an eye. And in the 13 years since the war, Iwa hasn't even gotten half of their numbers back and Inoki doesn't plan on leading his people to die for a war he has nothing to do with. What the oldest living Kage plans to do is recall Han and Rashi. Inoki wants them in the village, then he is going to put his son in charge of a strike force on the border. Inoki isn't going to be led into a conflict by someone from the shadows, he's going to play it smart and wait it out. History will not see Iwa as the one to start the Fourth Shinobi War. The Megakure no Sato. Pain has received word from Zetsu, it would seem that Suna and Konoha are currently at war. His plans for leading the two countries into war seem to have worked. Now all he needs to do is gather more locations for bases, have Haiden and Kakuzu gather more funds, and have Sasori check his network. They may have the Ichibi, but it will be a while until they can go after a place that is protected by their village. Next on the list is the Nibi, but Pain isn't ready to poke Kumo by stealing one of their guardians, the Akatsuki will need more time to prepare. Pain's main priority right now is to have Zetsu find Orochimaru, they need the Sky Ring back so they can recruit another member. His masked accomplice has told him of a few promising recruits, but before that they need to retrieve the ring. Then Pain walks out onto the balcony of his tower and looks over his perpetually crying country. It may still be a ways off, but Yuhiko's dream is on its way. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoy it. If you want the next part of this video, turn on that bell notification. Like, subscribe and comment down below. And also check out the others videos I have created and enjoyed it. See you guys next video.